Hello, and welcome to session 3 of our actual play campaign, the Return to Alendar setting that we have created, D&D 5e. This week, we did manage to get the entire session, no technical difficulties there, maybe a little bit in the middle, but you'll see that as you go along. It looks a bit different. We tried using the inbuilt Roll20 video and voice. Seemed to get a little bit better results than we did with Discord previously, but we're still trying things out, so apologies for the changes in look and feel as we go. But enjoy the night, enjoy the campaign. We had quite a fun session, quite a few good laughs, as well as some interesting reveals to get started with. I will go ahead and leave it there. Please like, subscribe, comment below if there's anything that you are curious about or that you would like to see, or if you want links to any of the items, equipment, classes, etc. that we're using in the game as homebrew. And I'll leave you with that, and have fun. Bye-bye. All right, then. So as we pick up with tonight's session, you had all found your way into Saladin's room at the Broken Keg. The dim light of a wintry afternoon is filtering through the window of the room. Shadows are beginning to stretch along the wooden floor. The candle on the table is flickering faintly in the draft that is creeping through the cracks in the walls. Outside, the wind is beginning to pick up through the narrow streets, and carrying the scent and the promise of a long, dark night. Inside, the room is still fairly warm, but the air is heavy with a bit of tension over the day's events. You've got a table cluttered with the various scattered notes, pages, the open dossier at the center of the table, all of the pages marked with various ominous symbols and unsettling details of the previous crimes. All of you are sat around the table looking through these notes, trying to debate where you want to go next. You are beginning to smell the scent of a smoking elk from downstairs, mingling with the tang of herbs and spices, and the scent of warm mulled cider. Davroth is obviously downstairs in the kitchen, preparing for the upcoming Hellwinter feast. The room feels fairly small for all of you there, as you go through these notes, and you are beginning to hear the muffled laughter and clinking of mugs from downstairs as the night is beginning to pick up and patrons enter the bar. What are you all doing?
Um,
Do you have a copy of like what's on those dossiers for context, or is it just the general consensus of the
I've
theory?
not done a full copy of the dossier for you, but I can run you through what's in it if you like.
yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So far there have been 5 murders. You know that the most recent was a early 20s male, a foundry worker. Previous to that, there was an elderly female who was a retired seamstress. Previous to that, there was a middle-aged male orc who was a dock worker. Previous to that was a male dwarf His age is actually not mentioned as being known in the file, but from the appearances of the sketches and such, he appears to have some amount of age to him. He was certainly not a young dwarf. He was a traveling merchant from overseas. And the first of the murders was actually a young, and by this, it's the documentation states that she was, well, she was elven, so this is not the actual age, but for putting it into perspective, in human terms, you would have thought of her as teenaged. So a quite young elf.
It's only a few hundred years old.
Well, probably just nearing 100, actually, for elf terms. She was probably in her 80s or 90s.
Right.
And she was actually a university student.
These youngsters.
She was studying at the Arcane University. All of them come from various financial backgrounds and classes, from the very low end to the very high end. Some have families, some do not. And as you're going through it, what other information is it that you're looking for?
There's one I'm looking for that is the writings on them. So the body that we saw, obviously, there was things written on it. I want to see other bodies. Was there some writing and was it different?
Okay. As you start going through, roll me an investigation check just to see how well you're picking up information from the documents.
Mm-hmm. 18.
Okay, 18. Very good roll. You start going through them, and the runes is the first thing that you pick up on. In each case, the runic circle that has appeared, and in all cases, the murder scene is very close to identical. A burned circle in whatever surface was there in the room, whether it was a stone floor, a wooden floor, whatever the case may have been. But in all cases, a perfectly burned circle of the same size, with these runic etchings burned into the outer edge of it. From the crime scene sketches that you have here, it does look like the same runes appear at each crime scene, but the runes have gotten more complex with each event. So the earliest circle was a very crude version of these runes, and they seem to have been refined at each point, getting more and more complex with each time that they've appeared.
So, as the runes, obviously, as they've got more refined, they've also become more of an amalgamation of runes. When they're at their more basic, can I understand looking at them and reading them better than...
Even at the first sight, there was already deviation from the default. Can you guys hear me again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Apologies for that. My network connection completely just died for a minute there.
You really need to start talking about those cultist runes and stuff, because whenever you do, it just shits your internet.
It seems so, yeah. So, sorry, what I was attempting to say before was that even at the earliest mention at the first scene,
This is poetry in D&D.
Actually cursed.
This is me getting a bit fed up with all of that. Even at the first scene, there was deviation from standard runes, but it was not as much deviation as it is now. Give me an Arcana roll if you'd like.
Oh shit.
Or it's a higher DC, but I'd also allow a religion roll.
They're both +2, so it doesn't matter. I'll go for Arcana. 14.
Okay. With a 14, you don't gain a huge amount of additional knowledge, but what you do manage to pick up is that you get the impression that whatever is going on here, they are trying to work something out. They are learning something, they are experimenting with something, they are trying to build up to something.
So what you're saying is we need another person to die.
That's not what I said. If that's what you want to say, then that's fine.
So I'll just like voice that to the rest of the group. Not that we're waiting for someone else to die. That it looks like they're improving their runes, and it's as if they're sort of like working towards a greater end with the runes as it's going through.
Mm-hmm.
It's just me. It's just me periodically looking up from the little machines I'm working on whilst doing this.
Casey, and are there any words in common, like on the scene that we've investigated?
Yeah, the vast majority of them. It seems like each of these is a the vast majority of this seems to be a progression. So the earliest scene might only have the first third of the message, and then it's progressed so that the message within the runes seems to be getting longer with each crime scene, as well as the runes getting more advanced. It almost gives the impression that each time they're getting to a point and having to stop, and then the next time they're getting a bit further and then stopping, and the next time getting a bit further and then stopping. So it's the same message for the most part that you're seeing. There are some small variations where it looks like things were in the wrong order to begin with,
right?
And maybe they've swapped the order of these two, and then you can see that they've gotten a bit further, and they've swapped the order of these and gotten a bit further. It really does. It looks like they are working this messaging out as they go, and each time they're getting a bit further through it.
Yeah,
interesting.
Geographically, how close are the murders together?
Spread out all over the city.
And their places of work. Just because when I'm looking at the map, things like the foundry worker and traveling merchant could have tread similar paths, but then, dock workers, then more north. Everything seems to be on the west side of the city so far, based on what I've interpreted of their careers.
So the dock worker, as you say, would have been the north. The foundry would have been. Apologies, I'm just bringing up the map now.
Is it the Hammerfall Ironworks?
It would have been near that area, yes.
So yeah, west.
Yeah,
Midnight
so west.
Market, was that where the traveling merchant possibly could have gone through?
No, the traveling market. The traveling merchant actually would have been more the central market near that's actually quite close to the nothing. It was they frequented more the normal daytime markets, not the midnight market. The university student, the university is on the northeast, so both their places of domicile and their places of employment are spread out across the city.
And
Spread around the nothing.
there's no like direct patterning we can see from looking at where their murders are in accordance to anything. Like there's no sort of pathway that we could trace through them that would signify this whole idea of the bone throne and everything.
What about the seamstress?
What about the seamstress?
Where would she have worked or lived? Because at the moment we're covering most quadrants of the city surrounding the nothing. Not quite going in a order or anything, but
The seamstress would have been working in one of the cloth works in the industrial quarter, so actually not terribly far from the ironworks.
Interesting.
Okay, if I want to take another thing, Casey, on any of the murders was, anyone suspicious seen going to the scene of the to-be crime at the time? So basically going there to commit the crime.
In all cases, like with the one that you most recently visited, no one unusual was seen to be entering or leaving any of these properties. In all cases, the individual was home alone at the time of the event. In all of the cases except for the dwarf, they had all apparently, by what's been able to be worked out, recently returned home from work. And in all cases, they were found by either a family member or a neighbor coming to check on them. No one was notified by any unusual sounds or anything of that nature in any of these cases.
Do we know any of the places the dwarf visited before coming back here as a traveling merchant?
Let me just check real quick. If I could find the dwarf's page in my notes. Apologies. So, from what the notes say of the dwarf, his most recent travels brought him from the city of Wyre through Thornhold town and then up along the road through Meadowhall, Verdant Hollow to Hammerfall and then into Titan.
And do any of the other victims have ties to any of those places?
The foundry worker looks like his family was originally from Hammerfall. The university student would have come over here most likely on a ship from Wire. From the Elven lands, that would have most likely been the likely path that she would have traveled, coming from Wire either through Thornhold or Eastwatch. That's probably the best ties that you can see from what's in the notes.
Interesting.
It does say that the orc originally came from Seaview Town. So again, just because of geography, would have traveled through Hammerfall on his way to Titan, although he's been here about 10 years, so that would have been possibly a while ago.
Just wondering if there's a way to tie them all to a different place, like a Hammerfall or Wire. Or...
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that is kind of... There are notes and pages within the dossier talking about the police trying to work out something like this, and as of yet they've been unable to find a pattern in either where they're from, where they lived, where they worked, or any kind of commonality places of where they would have associated. Now there are some connections in that the foundry worker and the seamstress were both known to frequent the same tavern that is in the industrial district near where they both work, but it's a commonality between two of them that the other three don't share.
Yeah.
So any of the connecting points that they have found as of yet, they've not been able to find a single connecting point that joins more than 3 of the 5.
Interesting.
Would it be fair to, are all of them sort of people who live in the house alone?
Yes, all of them do live alone.
So with 3 of the 5 connected at most, is there one that's connected to all of them in a way where not necessarily they're still all connected to each other, just one has a connection that would tie him to, or her to, the other 4?
How do you mean?
So like, even though they may not all be tied together in like a chain, but one may have some form of connection to each of them, even if it's like an obscure one, like they've bought something from the same vendor at some point, or like say the traveling merchant had sold something to each of these people, sort of thing. Just like a vague connection that could not necessarily tie everybody to each other, but tie one person to everybody.
Nothing within the notes that indicates as such.
Right.
Okay, so to pick up on something you said earlier, you said that there was no sound heard by people around them.
Yeah, as in nothing that was loud enough to draw attention.
Say to the group that is really weird, because if we're talking about a weapon of such power, the idea that it is silent is absolutely crazy, and to me would suggest that it's likely not something mechanical, but probably magical. I mean, it's not an explosion then, basically. That would have been.
Unless it was a mechanical explosion that was caused while someone had silence cast around, in which case then sounds.
Oh yeah, there is magic in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely magic involved anyway, because there's nothing, to my knowledge, that would be able to superheat a corpse to dehydrate it without burning down that whole building.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do magic.
Like that.
You went really quiet then.
You went really quiet there, George.
Oh, that's always a good sign. Better now, or
Yeah.
I was just thinking, is it worth us snooping around in the Mystic Quarter to try and ask questions if anyone's working on some magic that mimics these weapons? Because obviously we recognize it as something that could have been caused by something on a ship, which is a giant weapon. Is anyone trying to make, pocket cannon the spell?
Or even just a strange order of large amount of brimstone would be handy to know.
Yeah.
It'd be
Would
in
that
a
be the
lot of
Mystic Quarter that they'd buy it from?
Brimstone would be most likely sold in the Mystic Quarter, or perhaps the Midnight Market. Brimstone is something that is fairly controlled, at least in large quantities, so not easy to get a hold of. It's also quite expensive because it can't be harvested on, this
No,
plane.
I feel like the quantity that would have been required was definitely like a black market kind of thing. It wouldn't have been a registered trade, because that would have raised a lot of eyebrows.
Would any of the 5 murdered people have any reason to be around Brimstone or have it in their possession? I'm wondering if he's picking targets based on where he can get what he needs all in one place rather than just... Because I doubt there's anything that connects them other than being alone. And the nature of them being alone is probably the easiest way. But who knows? Could be.
The only one of the 5 who could have possibly encountered Brimstone in any known application could have been the foundry worker. Just because there are some instances where Brimstone is used in the forging of specific high-end metals, usually using magical forging techniques. But nothing about the employment records that they have for him in the file indicate that he's worked on any project like that.
No, also our bloodhound would have smelt the brimstone on him, I guess, from that.
Yeah.
Casey, and what is the frequency of these murders?
The 5 of them have occurred within the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
Oh.
Equidistant apart or...
No. The foundry worker and the seamstress were the closest two together, but the distances are different for each one. There's not
Are they?
There's not either a equal or a increasing or decreasing distance in the order. It varies up and down.
So it's not like there's a countdown in the murders and it's going down to like 1 or 0.
Not from anything that's been indicated within the file, no.
Interesting.
We could do something stupid.
I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
We could try and get hold of some brimstone and, carve some runes into a floor of somewhere random and see what happens.
I sort of just... I look up from what I'm working, from the little gnomic contraption I'm working on. And even though my face doesn't really belay emotions or reactions, I'm sort of looking at Coles with a definite questioning expression on my normally expressionless face, as if like, did I just hear that correctly yet? He wants to do our own ritual.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, flames are what appear to have dried someone out. Hot stuff over there. He's probably pretty good with some flames. I'm sure we can get some spells or a scroll somewhere of some resistance, and we can fuck around and find out. I'm not saying we do it exactly, but incrementally start etching some shit and see what happens, if anything.
I just say, well, I could speak to Penny when I drop these off to find out if she knows anywhere we could acquire some brimstone, but I do say it could be a pretty penny if we don't want to make this too official.
We could steal some? I'm not saying it's our best option, but if we start running out of ideas,
It's always good to help the police with their investigation by committing crimes, yes.
otherwise, yeah, probably dragging ourselves to something like the Mystic Quarter to either acquire brimstone, ask about purchases, or
I think we need to inquire about purchasing brimstone more than any sales that have been made, because if it has been an under-the-counter black market unregistered sale, they probably don't want people asking for their records of sales. But if we're buying, our group doesn't exactly look official enough that we'd be trying to buy on behalf of the law.
Yeah.
we could also retrace their steps of their daily routine to see if we find anything.
See if any of them had a place in common.
Yeah.
You know, like take a walk from their apartment of the most likely route to their place of work. Is there anything common that they pass that would be around in numerous different places? I don't know, like a certain type of lamppost. That's a terrible example, but
Most serial killings aren't truly random, so there'll be a common theme somewhere. And if
No,
it isn't
that's-
in the type of people they are, then it's going to be something that they have in common in their lives.
That's why I was thinking, if we looked at their place of work combined with their place of residence, if we looked at all of them and traced the most direct route on a map for each person, is there any part where all of their footpaths would cross?
Going through it and kind of drawing it out, no. The foundry worker primarily stayed within the western district of the city, and that was for both home and work. Their home being in one of the buildings on the middle, which was referred to as the middle ring of the map. So
Right.
when you're looking at the map, you see that there's the inner ring, which is the mostly park greenery area with some buildings within it. There's then there's the ring of tall buildings, which is primarily residential, and then outside of that, you've got the outer ring, which is primarily businesses and such. So, looking at the foundry worker, for example, he worked at the Hammerfall Iron Works, and he lived at a building on the middle ring, not too far from there. You can then look at the university student, and her university was in the northeast area of the city, not far from the Citadel, and her home was on the outer wall ring of the city. And there's no indication that either of those crossed the city on a regular basis to the other side. So even without going into the other three, those two basically say that there does not look like there's a common point.
Right. Okay.
no common shops they would have passed. Do we know anything about, like, is there a sewage system that would have allowed for easily following them without being
Kind of
seen?
what I want to do is look at the sales records of the dwarf merchant.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if he's got like receipts or anything for purchases from his stall that could potentially, maybe he sold something to each of these people that hasn't really been noticed or something.
Okay, there are not full receipts from his stall within the dossier. There are notes that his ledger had been examined, and none of the other four names appeared within his purchase ledger.
Right.
Also, it's worth bearing in mind that when you are talking about commonality of shops and such, and I'm using these two as an example because they are the two furthest ends of the spectrum. The foundry worker, the most recent, primarily lived and worked in fairly low to moderate wealth areas. The apartment that you found him in was in a decent area, but still a very much kind of living within a very small apartment in that area. Kind of the idea of sacrificing space for a little bit better neighborhood.
Right.
And you could tell that was on the very top end of his financial ability. And then contrasting that, the elven student, very much family money, very wealthy.
Classic elf.
Lived and worked and purchased only from the finest shops. So again, just looking at the top and bottom of the comparison, the two of them look like they would have never encountered the same shopping areas anywhere
Right.
that the elf would have even entered. The foundry worker would not have been able to afford anything.
Guys, in this case, unless we have any other good ideas on connections, because it doesn't seem to be leading anywhere, should we examine what we know about the cult that we have been discussing, the cult of Zaros and the Dead Roads? Because that seems another commonality. Maybe we either know about something or we can look at places where we can learn more about either.
There were two potential gods, wasn't it? Saros or Mordor. I don't know if they're one and the same, and if that was a stupid question, but
They are not one and the same. Anyone want to make a religion check?
I can give it a go.
I guess in this case, yeah, I would ask the group.
part of me wants to try just because I know my religion is terrible and the results could be really funny if I just pluck something dark out of my ass.
I mean,
I
go
mean,
for
I
it.
rolled a mighty 10 as a cleric, so.
Okay, it's Theodore that seems to know this information. Out of all of you, Theodore is the one in the know about dark gods.
Top lad.
Makes sense.
So the dark gods. Now, bearing in mind that within this city, the city does act on what's referred to as a principle of active morality. Now, what that means is that just the fact that someone worships a quote-unquote dark deity is not a crime in this city. There are, although they are small and they are shunned by most of society, there are actually legally operating temples or shrines even to the dark deities. People do recognize that although they might be perceived as traditionally evil, that does not mean that their portfolios are only worshipped by people who are actively evil. So, although they are taboo to a lot of people, they're not actively persecuted. Now, Zoros, known as the Devourer of Secrets, is the deity of hunger, knowledge, secrets, and madness. He is actually worshipped by quite a few mages within the city because of the propensity to study unknown lore and try to gain knowledge from it. Mordral, on the other hand, is the god of vengeance and destruction. He is also referred to as the Scorned One. And even within reasonable, kind of normal citizens, often people do turn to him when they are feeling hard done by. If a lover or a partner leaves you for someone else, someone might turn to Mordral. Or if you feel like you've lost your job for no good reason, or if you feel like just, life is treating you unfairly, that can sometimes drive people to the Temple of Mordral.
Anyone fancy a road trip to a dark temple? Loiter about outside and ask people, "Have you seen this rune?"
And it does sound very tempting as an idea. And Casey, do I know if either of them or any other sort of dark god is ever associated with the idea of dead roads? Because that's coming up.
Well, both the reason that it was pointed out with both Mordral and Zoros, the initial rune that Talek noticed that has been referred to as the rune of dead roads, also sometimes referred to as the rune of failed paths or ended journeys. It is used within both of those temples, and often and sometimes even within some of the other temples on a much rarer basis. In relation to Zoros worshippers, a failed path or a failed journey might be some discovered knowledge that leads nowhere, or the end of a search for knowledge. Within Mordral, it often signifies coming to terms with the end of a relationship in which you were scorned, or finding a way of finding a closure. So it is that rune in its base form is common throughout both of those temples. And as I said, it's used more rarely at other temples, but it does come up in things. In fact, it's even sometimes known to come up in the church of Ardana, who is the life bringer. And in that case, it often signifies the death of a loved one or the end of a life.
Right. So it's like a variation on a very common sort of thing that you'd find in both.
Yeah,
good and bad.
the base rune is common enough. It's a rune that carries a normally negative connotation because it's a rune of endings. It's something that has failed or has stopped. But the base rune is not wholly uncommon.
Interesting. I mean, all of the victims' journeys have definitely stopped. Their road has definitely ended. I feel like the brimstone route is the best way to look at things for now and try and find a way to buy some brimstone without it being registered or controlled. I feel like if we dive into a temple right about now and ask about a rune, it could raise more questions that we won't raising just yet. But if we're trying to buy illegal substances first, it could give us a way into these people anyway.
Sorry, could we rewind back with brimstone? once we procure it, what would we essentially do with it?
Oh, we'd do a ritual.
I'm up for a ritual, or we could use it as a bargaining chip outside of the temples of,
So
do
who
you
are we
have
ritually
any knowledge?
sacrificing?
I'm going to leave you guys to discuss that for just a moment as I nip away to the loo.
I mean,
Mhm.
we could just try and rope a poor, unsuspecting person into it, but that seems incredibly dubious.
So you
Yeah.
basically just want to become the thing you've sworn to investigate and destroy.
I mean,
Exactly.
we could sacrifice me, but I'm not exactly known to be fireproof. The other route is using it as a bargaining chip. If we know that it's likely to be adjacent to one of the two temples, we can use it to try and extract information about people knowing anything about changes to the runes or anyone that's been
Yeah.
chatting bollocks about it. We do then run the risk of actually giving someone the exact thing that they used to murder people, but it might help.
I mean,
Worst case scenario is just Talek uses it to turn it into some sort of weapon or explosive.
runes are a pretty powerful language in general, though. So stamping out some fresh runes could yield some results without sacrificing someone, or if it's just blood that's needed, or life
I
moisture.
don't really want to end up with someone being massively dehydrated to the point that they're not a thing anymore.
No, I was
We
just
could take the
thinking-
basic serial killer route and start on animals.
That's what I was thinking. Like
All right, Jeffrey Dahmer.
we could acquire a goat or something, or a chicken, and then we get food out of it too, because we'll get jerky as well as possible results. It just might be
Yes.
demon jerky.
I wonder what would happen if we ate the
Flip
jerky
a coin.
from...
Do you want goat jerky or demon jerky?
Case turns up as we're talking about
Oh no, I
sacrificing
could
getting
hear
jerky.
the entire time. So yeah.
Oh, good. So I do think that is a way we could go. We could.
We never take the easy, peaceful routes, do we? We just go, yeah, let's just mimic a ritual and create jerky and see what happens.
Although if we are going to start a ritual, I kind of want to discuss that with Severina first, just so it doesn't get used in their evidence when they see like another brimstone burnt circle.
I have a feeling they're not going to condone this.
Yeah, they
I
like
have a feeling
law
so as
and
well.
order.
I mean, they might like
It's not really very
not
lawful
condone
or
it, though.
very in order to then just start messing around with the thing that they don't want people doing.
No, but because we're not officially lawful people, she also
It's
has
better to
perfect
ask for
plausible
forgiveness than
deniability.
permission.
Not officially lawful people. So criminals then.
Not specifically criminals. I'm the only one that's been arrested, so like the rest of you aren't.
I fight in an
Exactly.
illegal fighting ring often,
Exactly. So
and you guys take illegal bets on it.
we've
And
also
you guys
are
know
all
nothing
criminals.
about me.
no, we've already got like questionable morality, and you also tried setting fire to a wooden building that was filled with straw.
I didn't
so-
try.
Well, you didn't burn
No.
the place down, at least.
To be fair, the building was stone. It was just filled with wooden benches and a straw floor.
Yeah. So,
The intention was not to burn the building down.
so I think we can all agree that we've all got questionable morality when it comes to things.
Yeah.
So we ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
Give us there might be a little bit easier thing to try and Casey, that idea that this is one rune that is slowly being refined and our sort of some understanding of what it's being refined to, is that in the basically does the police understand that? Is that used to them if we tell it to them or not?
The dossier definitely indicates that they see that this is building up to something, so that has not escaped them. But from what you can see, they have engaged a number of magical scholars, and they have also had a discussion within this file as you're flipping through it with a priest of the Temple of Zoros, who was basically asked to give a statement, and as per the arcane specialist that they brought in and the priest of Zoros, the direction that these runes is going in could not be determined. as from what they've seen so far, although the runes themselves have been getting progressively more complex, the result has been the same each time. So it's not like there has been a progression of results to piece together with the progression of the runes.
Right.
It's not like it's not like it's affecting a wider area each time, or it's not like it's affecting the bodies differently each time. The result has been the same, even though the runes have progressed. And the arcane studies people have basically all said that that doesn't make sense to them. If the runes are being refined, the result should have been different. The priest of Zoros was actually on file as stating that the runes that had been used here were perversions of runes that are common within his temple, and that these variations have nothing to do with the cult of Zoros. Of course, there is speculation within the clerical documents that you have that, of course, the entire purview of Zoros is secrets, so the veracity of that statement is automatically considered to be in question. But there was no evidence to follow up on based on the statements.
I feel like
Sacrifice a
it
goat?
isn't. I feel like it isn't part of the city's Church of Zoros. I feel like they know it's a fine enough balance of like the member of public and their perception already without them directly influencing. I do feel like it's a sub cult from um, either an amalgamation of the two churches and some disgruntled ex sort of like parishioners, so to speak, or ex visitors, or from outside of the city in.
That's probably likely. I mean, if someone was, murdering for Christian God, the Pope probably wouldn't know about it. So yes, probably you're probably right on that.
Yeah. And I do feel like we need to go to a more magically aligned city than what Titan is, as much as it disgusts me to have to go somewhere where it functions purely on magic. I feel like our answers are not in Titan.
Bearing in mind with that thought that Titan is the most progressive of the major cities,
Yeah.
so any of the other steel cities would be completely out of the options for that. You would be looking at smaller towns or villages that are magically aligned areas. There are no magically aligned cities,
Yeah.
with the possible exception. The only possible thing that could be maybe defined as a city that would be magically aligned would be the city of Dragon's Blood.
But we have absolutely no ties from any of the victims to Dragon's Blood.
None.
None of them would have even stepped foot in there.
It's a very distant island. Very little is even really known about it within the city, other than the fact that it seems to be a safe haven for Dragonsborn, who feel ostracized by aspects of society and have been gathering there and basically building a place that they can call home.
Do we know where the nearest 2 or 3 magical villages are that rely more on magic than technology?
Yeah, certainly. The easiest way to find them is to find on the map where the royal storms are located and look at the villages closest to them.
Excellent.
So
if we
nearby,
come
the
so
nearest
close
kind
as-
of magically aligned village would be either Hammerfall or one of the surrounding Silver Step or something of that nature nearby there.
No, I was thinking a trip to Hammerfall, not Hallowfall, Hammerfall could potentially be in order for this.
There is also the Mystic Quarter, which is,
Yeah, I feel like the first stop is Mystic Quarter in regards to Brimstone. Outside of that, I feel like we're gonna have to take a short excursion to Hammerfall because a few of them would have travelled through Hammerfall to get to Tidon anyway. Our elf friend may have even gone through Hammerfall because it's a little magical place and she's a little elfy magic lady, so she may have.
Well, coming across from the eastern shores, she would have either gone through Eastwatch or Thornhold, and that would have then meant that she would have either gone through Dawntide or Hammerfall, both of which are considered to be fairly magical. Hammerfall has more wild magic influence within it, but Dawntide is famous for the magical fish which call it home. So, purely based on the little that you know about her in the file, you would probably take a guess that in trying to look for things that she would have been interested in seeing, the likelihood probably would have been Dawntide over Hammerfall, just because the shoals of magical fish are considered to be a small bit of a tourist attraction.
I do have homies in Dawntide.
True.
I've spent time in Dawntide, so in theory that would probably make life a little bit easier. Asking questions around
He
there.
spent
'Cause then
time in
they would be
Hammerfall
like,
as well.
True.
I feel like both could be very good options.
Yeah, that sounds good. I might try to reach out to whatever was speaking to me in a more magical place as well. That might lead to something. I don't know.
And I could speak to Penny when I give her items back and find out if she's going anywhere and is in ideally Dawntide or Hammerfall and is in need of a group of guards to escort her caravan and her stall along, so we could get some money along the journey too.
That is fair.
And
What
crush
would
some skulls.
Exactly.
I mean, what?
You-
No, I'm very grounded.
You do know that Penny recently came from Copper, and as such, probably she would have passed through Hammerfall quite recently on her way north.
Yeah.
The route of the road there would have gone from Copper up through Ironshore, Seaview Town, and Hammerfall.
Casey, how long would it take us to get there?
To get where?
Sorry, what? Not Hammerfall, the other
Dawntide.
magical village. Dawntide, yes.
Dawntide is about 3 days' journey from here. Hammerfall is about 2 days' journey. Obviously, depending on method of transport,
Of course.
that could change. That's using fairly conventional, non-technological vehicles.
So just a horse
What's,
on wagon.
what's the timeline of these murders or killings or rituals or whatever?
The 5 of them have occurred within the last 3 weeks.
So it's like 2 a week-ish. So the time it takes for a trip, you could end up with 2 more people dead and further progression.
I mean, it would be handy to come back to a few more people dead to see how the runes are going.
Yeah, but if we don't know how they're progressing now, is that really going to help us?
Well, it depends on how the runes evolve. It may continue its journey and actually give us a good idea of where it's going with a few more. But it's a lot of what ifs and coulds.
When is the next fight? Because I don't want to miss that either. Because
Next
that's our
Friday.
source of money so far. Which is
Fights are each Friday.
Fridays. Alright. And the calendar has once again thrown me all the way to
And we're on
year
what?
999.
It does that to
You're
me
on-
as well. When I go on, it's like immediately at 999.
I don't know why that is.
I blame Chrome for it, honestly.
I've moved over to Firefox because Chrome gave me loads of issues with it.
I keep meaning to, and then I'm just too lazy to.
I did that for a while, yeah.
Anyway, as the night's progressing, I've got a few more of these contraptions done, and who fancies a little trip to the midnight market?
I'm in.
Yeah, sounds good. Guys, I'll take a few minutes break if that's all right.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, go. Thank you.
Cool.
All right, so you guys are going to make your way to the midnight market.
Obviously, as we go back downstairs, we're going to grab a quick down a pint from Davroth.
Of course.
Yes.
The tavern is fairly busy tonight. More so than last night. A lot of people going out for drinks tonight because they'll be at home tomorrow for various celebrations of Hellwinter. You do know that Saladin, you probably know best in this one, that Davroth does put on a Hellwinter feast for those who don't have families in the area to come into the tavern for a get-together. So you have been invited by him to that. He is preparing for that, so the tavern is filled with the various scents and such of preparations. Give me a perception check as you're going down, George, for Saladin.
Ooh, that's a 12.
Okay.
Let's get that wisdom.
It's not that hard to pick out from the noise. You do overhear a couple of conversations, and you do know that they are talked down by some of the other regulars of the tavern, but you do pick up on enough so that you can hear that there is word around town still about your fight and the various people that have theories, one way or another, that the thing was staged either by yourself or by Kragath as a way of cheating the fight.
That's not gonna stand. How do I handle this diplomatically? Just, nonchalantly walk up full speed and stand behind whoever's chatting shit, just staring down at them till they realize I'm there.
Okay. Roll me a d20.
That's terrible. That's a 4.
Okay. The one that you overhear the most clearly in the camp of you must have been trying to cheat because there's no way that you would have ever beaten Kragath in a fair fight is a very large orc himself, who you've seen in the bar a couple times. I wouldn't say he's a regular by any stretch of the imagination. He's not been here enough that you know him by name, but you do know that he is a massive supporter of Kragath, and yeah, basically that he says the whole thing in the arena was staged because it was the only way that you were ever going to beat him.
Just leave with a very diplomatic, excuse me, what the fuck?
Oh, and here he is. What do you want?
Why in the flying fuck nuggets would I want to forge a fight? I fight because fighting is fun. Where are you chatting this shit from?
Well, how else were you going to beat him?
With physical violence, the same way I win everything else. Would you
Yeah,
like
there's
to
no
step
way you would have
outside
beaten
and see
Kraggeth
some
if the fight
evidence
was
of such?
fair. You needed all that extra commotion and someone shooting into the ring because you knew you didn't have a chance otherwise.
Don't you think I was going to try and organise someone to cheat? That, you know, they'd actually be hitting a target?
Well, yeah, if you had the money to pay for someone decent, obviously you don't.
How would I respond?
Just kind of slowly backing into the corner, sipping on my pint in peace.
Part of me really just wants to hit him, but I don't want to piss off Dazza.
Yeah. Anyone who's watching this other than Saladin can roll me a perception if they'd like.
I presume I'm nearby.
A perception. Excellent.
You are a perceptive
Oh.
lot, aren't you? Talek, you do notice that Darvoth has taken notice of this, and that his hand is under the bar in the location that you have seen in the past that his cudgel normally comes out from whenever it's required. In other words, he has... you have seen him use it a number of times. He has a beat stick behind the bar, and will use it to calm things down when needed.
So I do see that, and I'm thinking that there's one of two ways that cudgel is going to be used, and it's either going to be on our good friend Coles, if he's the one that swings the first punch, or on this orc that's questioning his good honourable name, if he gets the first punch. Yeah, I need to. So I sort of like move over to Davroth, and I say, oh, it's not looking too bad over there at the moment. They're only talking, so I don't think that's going to be necessary.
I really hope it's not, but, well, can't have any fights breaking out in here, you know?
Absolutely.
People are entitled to their opinions, even if they are an idiot like Sooty over there.
Can I hear the discussion that they're having? Because obviously...
At this point, the discussion's gotten quite loud and is drawing attention, yes.
Yeah. So I sort of just say, well, you know what happens when Cole's... And I look at him sort of like, in a more sarcastic tone, good name comes under question.
I know. That's why I'm keeping an eye out.
He's a prideful fella, but maybe I can get them both outside to have this discussion and not ruin the good feast that's being prepared.
I like that plan a lot.
Yes, I sort of like make my way through, sort of brisk enough that the people move out of the way of a lumbering lump of metal moving towards the commotion. And I sort of just look at them both and go, gentlemen, with that feast that's happening tomorrow, and how Davroth here puts it on for all of the unfortunate people in this town, why don't we take this discussion outside and save any of that damage and unfortunate collateral to the more innocent people that are coming here for a little bit of comfort and community.
Oh, Casey's connection is once again.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Yeah,
I just
can
sort
hear
of
now.
start loading.
Roll me a perception.
Theodore is-
Sorry, not a persuasion roll. Sorry.
Persuasion. 20.
Okay. The orc kind of looks at you and then looks back at Saladin and kind of shakes his head and he says, "Look, I'm not after a fight. I know you could whip me. I just don't think you could beat Crag. My opinion's my opinion, but I'll sit back down for now if that's all right with everyone."
So just say that's appreciated, and hopefully we'll see a rematch anyway between Coles and Crag. It's always good to see two giants of people beating lumps out of each other for a few coins, wouldn't you say?
And how does Saladin react?
I'm just reading back over my background to make sure I'm not going to do anything entirely out of character.
And I sort of, as he's sort of like sitting there and you can see the cogs working in his head, I sort of say to Coles, and how about we go back and discuss that boom hammer that you want to play with?
I'm not going to start a fight as much as I would like to. Just going to not stop staring at him as I walk away.
Mm-hmm. Once you turn and walk away, he does sit back down. You do catch him. You do hear him catching a little bit of gentle mockery from his fellows at the table for backing down, but yeah.
But none of them wanted to join in and help him, so.
No.
So
At the end of the day, they might think that their guy's better, but they know they're not.
So I sort of head back over to Davroff and I say to him, I say they might be lumps of meat, but they've got brains too, to some extent. And finish my drink and ask him if there's anything he needs from the market, as we're going to be taking a quick trip there.
He kind of thinks about it for a minute. Actually, there is. Well, I don't know if he'll be there himself, but, well, he grabs a page from a ticket book that he's got there at the bar nearby, and he starts jotting down and possibly an ingredient, a concoction, a spice blend, maybe from the looks of it. He says, "Now, there's an alchemist. He's got a shop in town, but he's often got someone selling for him at the market as well. Gio is the name. If you can find someone selling for him, ask him for a few vials of this. It's a flavor enhancer. It'll make tomorrow's feast that much nicer." And he slides the note over to you.
Do I recognize what the concoction would make?
Arcana?
Okay. 17?
Yeah, you recognize it. It's not uncommon. It's something that is frowned on by a lot of probably high-end chefs in fancy restaurants.
That's MSG.
Kind of. It's a magical shortcut to enhancing the flavor and aroma of foods. It takes a little bit of the chef's skill level out of things and just makes something better.
So it kind of makes sense for our esteemed chef Davroff to sort of want to use to spruce some food up a little.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, he's a he's a tavern owner. He's not a chef, and
He's aware of his culinary skills.
Yeah, he's wanting to make tomorrow's feast nice for those that are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just take that and I say, yeah, I can see what I can do for that.
And he slides you over a pouch and he says, "If you do manage to find it, this should cover it."
Excellent. So just round up coals again before he decides actually that he wants to take a piece of the orc
As he's
with him.
standing off to the side, probably muttering under his breath.
Yeah. And then just say to everybody, let's head to the market then and see what we can find.
Sounds good.
You head out of the tavern into the very cold night at this point. It's still early-ish evening, probably somewhere between 9 and 10. So you know that the midnight market is likely to be just setting up at this point. You have a good journey across town to get there, though. You take it probably about half an hour to maybe even 45 minutes to get there. Faster if you're willing to pay out for more magical means of transport.
Nah.
No, you take the normal transit system through town?
Yeah, just so then we can take the slower route and then we can sort of like discuss what we're going to be doing and less chance of having a pair of magical ears overhearing our decision to try and grab hold of some brimstone for secret means.
Now, the most direct route will take you through the center of town, and in that you will pass by the Eternal Nothing. So as you approach this massive, empty expanse of metallic disc at the center of town, you see that there are quite a few people out and around in the park area nearby it tonight. It is a gathering place for people that meet up, especially this time of year with the Hellwinter celebrations approaching. The area is decorated. It's quite a beautiful open park area, so it's a popular place for evening walks. And there are usually some smaller market food stall type things set up around the area. It's fairly busy, but not crowded at this point. It's a large enough area that the crowds can still disperse, and it's not everyone on top of each other. As you approach the Eternal Nothing, Zethian, I'd like you to make me a charisma save.
Glad that isn't me.
Is Sam there?
Hello?
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Zethian is you,
Just
Sam.
me. Charisma save.
You were just so stationary. It was like, is he frozen?
I am not firing on all cylinders, so apologies if I am slightly slow.
No problem.
It's all good.
Sorry, at least it's a double-digit roll. You're
It
only
is.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
and that's before modifiers.
That's
About to say, maybe you need to not be on all cylinders more often.
No, because it didn't work out on Monday.
Fair. As you approach the Eternal Nothing, Zethian, you actually haven't visited this area since you've been in the city recently. So this is your first time seeing it. And as you approach, you get an odd tingling sensation in the back of your neck. And you feel like... Well, you feel an odd sensation creep over you for a moment. It passes quickly, but with your fiery nature, it's something that's quite rare for you. For just a moment, you feel cold.
Oh.
Now, the rest of you are cold already because it's a cold evening. But Zethian, that's not something normally that you experience.
No, and I don't like that very much.
The rest of you, other than Zethian, what are your passive perceptions?
15.
11.
Perception, you said, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
13.
Okay. Talek, you're the only one that notices anything out of the ordinary. But you happen to be kind of glancing over in Zethian's direction at this moment, and you notice normally whenever you have been looking at him that he has these etched lines on his skin that have a glow to them, kind of a fiery, a very faint fiery glow, and the same kind of from his hair whenever it's not covered by his hood. For just a moment, that glow seems to dim and then return to normal.
So I sort of notice it, but I decide I'm going to save that question for later with him. And so like take a mental note of it for later on to ask about. Mostly because I want to see when we head back to the tavern if he has the same reaction going through this area again.
Okay. You continue on through the town, through the city rather, and you eventually make your way to the midnight market. Now, the midnight market, most of you have been here before, I'm going to assume, for one reason or another. It is a technic, and again, this is one of those things that you find within this city quite a bit, is that some things are technically illegal but functionally permitted. The midnight market is during the day an open area of parkland in the southwest of the city that is kind of used as a buffer zone in the industrial district. And what I mean by that is the area surrounding this is a very built up industrial area with a lot of factories and other manufactorium type things. And this area is an open space of kind of parkland and greenery that's used to just break up the space a bit and give people a bit of a green space to go to on their lunches or when they have a break from work or things of that nature. At night, however, a kind of impromptu swap meet or car boot or market seems to spring up here of traveling stands. And it has a reputation for being the place where you can find things that are not necessarily black market, but gray market. Things that might be legal but heavily controlled, might be a little bit freer here. The odd, unusual item that has a questionable legality. For those who know the right questions to ask and the right people to speak to, often you might be able to find more illicit goods,
Right.
or at least that's the rumor. If any of you have actually delved into that at all, I will leave up to you to reveal. But it's a very free market space where people tend to not ask too many questions about receipts or who's buying what. On this particular night, it is extremely busy, and that is a mix of people that are doing late night Christmas shopping, or Hellwinter shopping rather, and people seeking other more illicit pleasures. As you enter the market, you are assaulted with bright lights and loud sounds and a very cosmopolitan mix of various races that brings together a much less human forward crowd than a lot of the city does put forward. Although there are people of a number of innumerable races within the city, for the most part, Titan is still predominantly a human city. And in most cases, the non-human elements tend to congregate towards the magic quarter in a lot of ways, with the exception of this market. And it is lit by magical illumination and light. There are various people shouting and advertising various wares. How are you going about making your way through the market? Are you aiming to go directly to a specific place, or are you wandering? Are you browsing? Are you asking questions?
Well, as Davroth has gave me the list to speak to the alchemist, or the person that is the alchemist proxy, it's probably also going to be the best person to ask about brimstone, given its like alchemical qualities. So, and as I've got reason to be asking about the alchemist anyway, because I've got the shopping list of what to buy, I just ask the first store if they'd seen the alchemist around at all, and I sort of like just flick them silver just to hopefully loosen it a little more, that they're going to give me the direction.
Okay. You approach one of the nearby food stands and speak to a elderly looking furbolg. Flip him a silver, ask him about the alchemist, and he kind of thinks about it for a minute and says, "Ah, you mean Gio's boy? Is that who you mean?"
Yeah, that's the one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he's here often. I think I've seen him tonight. Four rows over, and he kind of gestures off in a direction. I think I've seen him. Look for the stand lit by the globes of strange kind of glowing greenish liquid. He normally hangs those up to stand out a bit in the area.
Excellent. So I just thank him, and I tell him how I'll likely be back to pick up something to eat on my way out anyway, as the hunger of this walking around builds up.
Okay. Saladin, will you roll me a investigation roll?
Investigation.
You've
Or just be
disappeared
absolutely
on us,
horrendous.
hiding.
That's a 1.
Okay. What you were sending me before that you were wanting to look out for, you see no signs whatsoever.
Had a feeling that'd be the case.
Yeah.
That's a mighty roll.
That's a great roll, right? I mean, at least it
Need to
wasn't a
swap
0.
those
It could
dice.
have been.
I think if it was a 0, I probably would have spontaneously combusted.
Yeah.
Okay. You follow the
Casey,
directions.
given that I have come into possession. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Given that I just won some money from the fight, I might be looking for some magical items. Obviously, after we pick up the goods.
Okay. So you make your way over to the area that was directed to you by the Furbolg, and you do, in fact, notice fairly easily the glowing green globes hanging above a stall. Sitting at the stall is a young woman, human or possibly half elven, who looks very bored with her evening.
So I sort of just walk up and greet her. Sort of have a cursory look over the stall as well to see if there's anything that piques my interest.
Okay.
And sort of like hand over the slip at the same time for her to ask her if she's got any of this.
She kind of nods in greeting to you. Does not look very enthusiastic to be here at this time, but she kind of looks over the list and goes, "Oh, yeah, I think we've got some of that left. Give me just a second." And she starts kind of digging around, and you can hear glass clinking as she digs into the back of the cart to look for it. Meanwhile, as you're looking over the cart itself, you see an array of glass vials of various colors, shapes, and sizes. A lot of them are fairly clearly marked. Things like healing potions, some potions of vitality, some various alchemical oils, alchemist's fire, things of that nature. Nothing too high end. You get the feeling that this stall is probably not where he sells the good stuff. This is a bit of a side venture to just catch people as they're browsing on an evening. You get the feeling that to get anything truly special or interesting, you would probably need to visit the shop itself.
Yeah.
Out of interest, Casey, the healing potions, how much do they cost?
A standard healing potion is going to run you, as per the prices that he's got up here, 50 gold.
Ooh.
Oof.
Right. I think we might need to also take some quests to get some money because I don't think we have a lot of that.
Yeah, when you
Lying
mentioned
around.
magical item shoppings, you're not going to find much with your current money pouch.
Yeah, to be fair, other than Saladin and his fighting, does any of us have much of a job? Like income? Probably not me.
Not really, no.
No, I just tinker and repair things, usually in trade
Yeah.
because I can't already afford the things.
Are there
Zethian
any,
has,
like,
has
boards
disappeared
around
and is
that
not
have
commenting.
like jobs,
Are there any what?
job boards or anything around, like people looking for odds and sods to be done for them for money?
Not within the market, no. There are places in town where you could find things like that. But there's not a posting board or anything like that in the market itself.
So I just jokingly say to Coles, one day we should open a stall here and let people arm wrestle you for money.
I've heard worse ideas.
And yeah, just waiting for her to sort of like bring back these vials that she's playing with.
Yeah, she brings out 2 vials, lays them on the counter, and she says, "That will be." And she kind of looks over a price list. That will be 200 gold.
So sort of like just under my breath say, "Well, I hope Davrov's pouch is right," and I sort of like hand her the pouch and say, "This should cover it."
And she opens it up and looks inside, and she goes, "Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. I'll And she slides the vials over to you.
And I just say to her, and on a more personal note, not necessarily some, just between us, do you know anywhere I can acquire some brimstone without having to deal with that red tape that goes along with brimstone?
She kind of looks you over for a moment. Roll me a persuasion roll just to see how you come across to her.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, probably don't come across too well.
We're going to jail once again. Let's go.
She kind of looks you over and she goes, I mean, you don't look it, but are you some kind of a undercover guard or something?
I sort of just, in my pack, I have some alchemist fire, so I sort of just shower it and say, no, I sometimes dabble in the amateur side of making things that can go up in flames.
And you want to do it under the table without receipts and just come up to a stall and randomly ask for it?
Well, it's alchemy, of course, and this is the alchemist.
I mean, look, no, I'll tell you, I don't have any of that kind of stuff here. If you want to ask more questions about that kind of thing, you'll have to try to talk to my dad about it, and he can tell you what he thinks of it at that point.
I get her dad is Geo.
Yes, yeah, yeah. You do get that impression from the way she's talking. Yeah.
And I just say to her, that's fair enough. Just hoping to, I don't know, excite the night a little more than this cold, miserable place anyway. So I sort of just note that the best person to probably ask would be Gio, in the hope that her boredom would have loosened the lips a little more.
She does give you the address of his proper shop. And you do at that point actually get his full name on the page. He is Edgar Gio.
Ah, Edgar Allan Gio. Excellent. So I just thank her again for her help. Say that the keg will be thankful, and the patrons will definitely be thankful that you're going to help the food taste a little better at least. So jokingly say we all know Davrov's skill with the stove, so this will definitely help.
She just kind of smiles as if she doesn't really care what you're saying, but
it sounds well.
You're a customer, so she's, been told to be polite.
Good old Christmas retail.
You very much get the impression from your dealings with this person that her dad owns a shop and her dad has dictated that she is going to be here doing this for him tonight, and she's rather be anywhere else.
Yeah, she's literally here because she don't want to get fined.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. So I guess we're just going to wander around the market a little, see if we can overhear any conversations, see if there's any shopping we want to do. I discuss with Coles if there's anything he needs for the boom hammer. Tell him we're going to need some gunpowder, maybe some reinforcing plates to help the hammerhead there. And anything he wants to add into it for extra dramatic effect.
I shan't lie, Chief. I am hocus pocus brocus. I have a handful of spare light hammers, some miscellaneous things that are metallic like an iron pot, and a handful of gunpowder. I am absolutely raw dogging it and making it all up as I go along. There is zero tactic behind any of my thoughts.
No, I can believe that.
Yeah, just that leaves no surprise to anybody. We just say, yep,
Yep, story checks out.
Yeah, sounds about right. Okay, yeah, so you wander around the market for a while. You do see all manner of shops and stalls selling everything from just street food to knickknacks to touristy items, uh, snow globes with the city of Titan inside them, and various kind of landmark buildings. You do see one shop that seems very much aligned for the tourists because they are selling snow globes of the eternal nothing, which is obviously a big flat disc of metal. So effectively, what they're hawking to a bunch of tourists is a snow globe with nothing inside it. It's just
That's one way to make money.
a mirror on the bottom with snow in it. And they are selling them as basically memories of the eternal nothing.
The
At a
irony that the memory of the nothing is nothing.
Yes, exactly. And you do see people buying them. Some people buying them laughingly, as if you think they might be giving them as a gag gift to someone. But other people who look like they're not from around town actually buying them as a keepsake. You also see various weapons stalls, armor stalls. A lot of these you do seem to see are advertising. In these cases specifically, they look like they're advertising for other shops within town. So you might have a stall that's got maybe three suits of armor, and then signage that says, "If you're looking for anything else, go to this place." That kind of thing.
need your size? Come to this shop and we can tailor make it for you.
Yes, exactly that kind of thing. There are a few various junk stalls and trinket dealers, jewelry merchants. There are a couple stalls advertising magical wares. You do have a look at the pricing on those as you pass a couple, and it does look like most everything they have is out of your price range at the moment. You do notice that as you're wandering through the market, this, in addition to being kind of species cosmopolitan with the mix of the various types of people that you have here, it's also very much class cosmopolitan. You have everything from kind of low end, poor factory workers coming in here, buying something from a food cart and just wandering to browse and look at things, to people who look to be wearing very high-end clothing who are actually shopping for quite expensive items to give as gifts to people or curiosities.
Would our bougie elven victim have come through that we may overhear her name mentioned or anything from anybody as we're walking through?
Roll me perception.
Oh, Jesus, my rolls haven't been too good today.
I mean, to
No,
be
it's like
fair, any of the
present to
victims'
improve.
names.
19 isn't too bad, I guess.
Okay. No, you listen out quite a bit, and you don't hear any mention of her name coming up anywhere specifically. Although you do get the impression that some of the stalls here, in particular the jewelry or magically inclined stalls, are places that she could have possibly wandered. While you are wandering the market, there are a couple other things that you overhear as well. You do hear a merchant discussing with a couple people that it seems like he must know well from the conversation they're having, and they stop by the stall at some point, saying that he was recently in Etherwatch, and there's a lot of talk around the town that a artifact has been stolen from one of the local temples. It's the talk of the town there at the moment, and he's passing the news on to his friends here within the city.
Can we hear like him give a description of this artifact or a name of it?
He doesn't give a name of the item. He does say that it was stolen from a temple of Thoros, the Platinum. You also, over here walking through town, someone who seems to be well into their liquor for the evening already, trying to impress his friends by telling them the story of him recently being in Glimmer Grove, and the fact that he managed to hunt one of the strange beasts that have been recently spotted around there at night. He describes some strange glowing beasts that have been appearing there recently and seem to be disrupting the balance of the forests.
Interesting. Strange beasts, stolen relic, and dead people, ritual and cultists.
How do you spell the name of that place?
Which one? The second one?
Yeah.
That is GLIMMER GROVE. Glimmer Grove.
When it comes to beasts, would our good farmhand know any of that?
Would you like to
It's a good
make
question.
a
Would I have
roll?
recognized that description?
Well, I mean, the description that he gives is fairly easy for most of you to imagine. It sounds like he's describing a wolf, except instead of it being a four-legged creature, it's a wolf with 6 legs that glows green in the moonlight.
Would I recall ever coming across one of these on my travels and adventures in prior lives?
Roll me a nature roll. Very good. Dirty 20. You've not encountered anything quite specifically like this, but you do know enough from your travels to know that it sounds like the kind of beast that has been most likely started out as a normal wolf, but has been warped by proximity to the royal storms. You know that the storms put out wild magic, and if creatures, or sometimes even people, spend too much time in the proximity of the storms, they can sometimes be hit with surges of wild magic and changed.
Interesting.
Assuming that I can hear that man as well, can I ask him whether he received a reward from anyone for killing that beast or hunting down that beast? I would say no money here.
A reward? Well, no. It was in the forest. It attacked us, and I killed it. Do people give rewards for killing things that attack you in the forest?
Fair.
Do I know if these things would be known for randomly attacking people, or whether they'd be more passive creatures?
Well, I mean, wolves. Wolves in the wilderness do hunt people when they're hungry or when they're threatened or if they're driven out of their homes, kind of thing. It's not uncommon. And you also do know that it's also not uncommon for creatures that are warped by the royal storms to be unnaturally aggressive, even compared to other beasts of a similar type. The warping magic of the storm often seems to have a maddening effect to it. You have kind of the effect of a magically changed beast that's effectively rabid.
Hmm. Can I ask him how he's managed to kill it?
Well, with my sword. And he starts retelling the story of basically how he and some of his friends were traveling with his wagon of goods, and two of these things came out of the woods and pounced on one of their horses and attacked it, and one of them attacked one of his friends, and he managed to charge forward and hack its head off with his sword before it could finish killing his friend. Roll me an insight if you'd like.
I was about to check to ask the roll to check if he's like lied or not. Is it insight or perception? Which one is that?
It would be insight for that.
11.
Okay. I mean, Zethian, it sounds fairly plausible to you. Theodore, you're a little bit less sure if it's plausible. It sounds like, if you had to take a guess, you get the impression that this attack probably did happen in some form or another, but it's kind of likely that he's bigging up his part in things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they attacked, but he didn't actually kill it, or maybe someone else attacked it first and then he finished it off, or something like that. Maybe you get the impression that he is embellishing.
Gotcha.
Are you guys looking to do anything else at the market this evening?
I think between us, I would tell that, fellas, I think we're kind of broke at the moment and need to probably find some ways of getting money. Because
Yes.
I don't, and tell me if you disagree with that, I don't think the information we have right now would be that interesting to
No.
our current police employer, Lady Serafina.
No, and I sort of just jokingly saying, maybe we need to find a job like this hero here, and start saving people from mystical beasts.
Yeah, I am interested in fighting something right now. Fired up today.
I'm just kind of standing here, mildly chuckling to myself.
Yeah, well, I think we grab a bite to eat for the road and head back to the
Okay.
keg. Thank Davroth for his pouch of 200 gold, which got us these ingredients, and
Well,
get ready for a feast.
as you head back, grab a bite to eat and are making your way back in that direction, roll me a perception roll.
Oh,
All of us, or
Well, what I'll say, just to make things a bit easier, let's have either one person roll with advantage or two of you roll, rather than just having everyone make the roll. So Talek's given us one roll. Who wants to give us another one?
And he has a good modifier.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Not a good
nice roll,
result,
too.
but
I don't think
got a-
anybody else can have a +5.
I got a +3, but I'm also rolling notoriously shit at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, it's the perks of being a wisdom class, I guess, when it comes to the +5, but not when my dice say that. Half the time, it'd be better off me just praying and using my passive one.
so who wants to give us a second roll, or do we want Talek to take another roll at it to give him the advantage?
I mean,
I
I can
say might as
take.
well give Talek another one.
Yeah, I can roll again and see if I can do any better.
3/4 of the time you improve.
True. Let's give it another roll then.
That's much
I mean,
That's
better.
decent.
That's a lot better.
As you are making your way back, you encounter an alleyway just off the main road that you're walking along, and you look down it, and you notice a couple individuals that look very suspicious to you at first glance. They look like they are nervously looking around, as if they are possibly on lookout for something that's going on further into the alley.
Okay. So I'll just tap Zephian on the shoulder mostly and say to him, do you feel about maybe mixing into those shadows and seeing what those two gents down the alleyway are up to?
I can definitely go and have a wondrous bit of curiosity.
And then I sort of like let Coles and Theodore know as well, because I sort of just loosen my robes a little so the mace is a little easier to get a hold of, just to indicate that we may need our persuasion tools in our hands soon.
And by the time you turn around and told them and signified that, I've already disappeared into a shadow and you can't see me.
Yeah.
Roll me some stealth to see how effectively that actually
Very
does
exciting.
work.
Here goes a terrible roll. As I knock over like 5 million baskets.
Accidentally sets the alleyway on fire.
A good thing we had our persuasion
yes.
tools.
As he says he disappears down the alley, what the rest of you see is he's basically just walking down the alleyway towards them now. The stealthy element of that did not quite work out the way that you had planned it.
No. I let him
All right.
walk a little further until I can hear like a vocal challenge from the people.
Mm-hmm.
So like just tap Theodore and Coles on the shoulders and say, loud enough that people would hear. I say, well, it looks like our drunk friend has took a turn. And sort of like just walk into the alleyway to kind of collect him.
While
Okay.
I'm like now feigning drunkenness and staggering all over the place. Half of which is true because I've just fallen over.
Makes sense. All right. So on that note, I'm going to say let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break, and then we will come back and jump into what happens next.
Adventura Samsumens.
Sponsored by Shan, Shara's Emporium of Exotic Goods.
All right. Let's jump back into it. So, Zethian, you started making your way down the alley. Are the rest of you following, or are you staying on the street?
I feel like
I'm
we have
definitely
to.
following.
Following.
Yeah, so I've got my hand on my mace, but it's still tucked under my robe, and I'm sort of like just making it semi-vocal that we're coming to collect our drunk friend from wandering down this alley.
Okay.
But at the same
As
time, not too
you
worried.
as you start to head down the alley, one of the individuals that you spotted initially there kind of steps a little bit further out of the shadows and says, "Just turn around and head back the way you came from."
I guess this is directed at Zephian as we haven't caught up with him.
Yes, yeah.
And I'll I kind of just like fake stumble, slur my words, and just do like a slurred yes sir.
Okay. Do you turn and head back?
And then try and attempt to stumble my way back down the alleyway and slip back into the shadows at the end.
Okay. You give me another roll then, and no, the one that you rolled while we were having a break does not count.
Damn it! Oh,
I knew you were going to try for that, but no, we're not doing that.
can't we bank roll?
Hmm? Hey,
It's my miracle dice. I saved it for later.
if you're gonna drop a random die whenever it's not been called for yet, I'm not gonna be responsible for you burning your 120.
God damn it!
I mean, it was better than the first one.
This needs to be a really easy stealth check.
I mean, you get back down to the end and kind of try to duck back into the shadows, and then turn around and go to look that way again, and he's still just looking straight down the alley at you.
I just like fake fall over into some more stuff, send some more stuff flying, and then disappear around the corner.
Give me a performance check. That's not too bad. Falling over seems to be the thing you're best at.
Fuck's sake.
We needed that to be a quick fail, so you fell and accidentally like shot your rifle down the alleyway at them.
Yeah, the massive explosions ensue.
So Zethian's
well-
turned to head down the alley. The rest of you started to follow him. He's then turned around and come back, fallen over, and then gone past you around the corner. What are the rest of you doing?
I mean, while that entire mess is occurring, what's the other geezer doing?
The other one down the alleyway.
Yeah.
Well, while this one has stepped out of the shadows more, the other one has actually stepped further into the part that you cannot see.
So we don't truly know how many are down here anyway.
And he knows we're all together, I guess. There's no way of
That's
really
a-
feigning that, this
Well-
is my way home.
Talek basically just said that he was trying to find his drunk friend that wandered off. So, given the impression that you're a group wandering home, yeah. But
So
this
just
is an
say-
alleyway, not the main road. So,
Do we know that alleyway?
you don't.
Like, where it leads? No.
You know from the layout of the city that it's kind of a north-south facing alley between two east-west running roads, and you're currently trying to head east.
Would we know our way back to this alley come tomorrow when it's daytime?
If
Yeah, I
you
was just gonna
make a
bolt
note
through
of the
to-
location, you could probably find your way back.
Shortcut.
Okay. So
Sorry, did you catch what I said there?
No.
No.
Okay, no, I said if you're actively making a note of it now, you could probably find your way back to the alley. Yeah.
The chap that still stood out of the shadows, I say, you know what happens when it's this close to the feast time. People get a little too merry, stumble down the wrong alleyways. So.
Yeah. Well, this is
And so,
definitely the wrong alleyway. You don't want to be here right now.
no.
Roll me another perception. Either one of you with advantage, or a couple of you roll for me.
You want me to go with advantage again, or
Yeah, when in Rome.
when in Rome? When in Rome, roll advantage.
Yeah.
You think
Okay.
that you hear something thud in the alley behind him, but you're not sure.
So
Okay,
just
as this is going on, could I try to sneak into the shadows as well?
Yeah, go for it. Roll me a
Yes,
stealth roll.
whilst that's happening, I sort of just say to the guy, I sort of just say to him, "Oh yeah, it does sound like the wrong alley. It sounds like somebody dropped something behind you." Or
Talek, roll me an insight roll.
oh,
Well, Vlad's now also putting on a
that
performance in the
actually teased
background.
me as well. Like that almost stopped on the 19, and I was like, actually, no.
Actually, even with that, it's a fairly obvious one. You can tell that this guy is getting both annoyed that you're still here and nervous that you're still here.
Yeah, so
There is something going on that he obviously does not want anyone sticking their nose in back there.
yeah, so I sort of stand there and look at him a little. Um, just gauging him, sort of sizing him up, thinking what could potentially happen, given he is getting a little annoyed. So he's probably one conversation of not wanting us to actually walk back down the alleyway, and he wants to dispose of us. Um, so I sort of say, well, I did wonder if you needed the help of a cleric, if there was maybe somebody in trouble that needed a little bit of care, as I did just hear that somewhat of a thump. Maybe somebody's had an accident and needs a little bit of a discreet hand.
Roll me another perception as you're saying that.
Yeah, it's better than the last three, I guess. But
Okay. As you say that, you do hear whispering and movement in the shadows behind him. You can't quite make out what's being said, but there's definitely more than one person back there saying something. And the guy kind of looks at you, and you notice at this point his hand starts to go to a weapon at his side. He says, "Look, I don't know who you are, but just turn around and leave."
and we can't really get a good look of him because he's still, even though he's out of the shadows, it's not like
I mean, you can
it's
get
not
a
clear.
okay look at him. He's human or thereabouts. Could possibly be half elf. Could possibly be maybe even elven. You can't see the ears that well, but he's built more solidly than you would expect an elf to be built. He does
Yeah,
look like he's wearing some kind of either heavy leather clothing or leather armor. And you do get a look at the weapon he's reaching for. And it looks like he is reaching for a crossbow that's slung over on a strap under one arm. And you do see that he has a mace on the other hip.
yeah. So I sort of take his indication for that, and so like just raise my hands a little bit and say, no, there's no need for that. I was just here to collect my friend and then see if you needed any aid, given that's what us clerics like to do. And then I say to him, and after all, we've got this wonderful prize fighter here. You wouldn't want to damage Davroth's paychecks as well, given this chap likes to partake in the arena and allow a nice flow of gold.
At this point, he actually does raise the crossbow and point it at you, and he says, "Look, go."
No one threatens my friends. I would like to step forward. So if he does fire it, it's going to be at me.
Okay. At that point, then, I'm going to go ahead and...
Yes, physical violence.
Change maps.
Anyway, I started blasting. My piece is coming into effect, yes.
So, let's see. Zethian had stepped to the back. Saladin has stepped forward. We've got one of them who stepped out here.
Last 3 sessions, didn't we?
There we go. So that's what you guys can see right now.
Black screen for me.
Yeah, I can just see black.
Oh, have you... Hang on, let me adjust
Oh,
your...
can you? I can see stuff.
About to say, your tokens should have vision.
Mine is just
So who can't see?
Me.
I can.
Sam can't see. I can't see. Don't know if George can see.
I'm all good.
Your icon, your things say that you should be able to see. Yeah, let me just toggle that. Is that any better?
Nope.
No.
Right. Have you tried zooming the map just to make sure that you're not zoomed in on an area that is black?
Yeah, I'm zoomed all the way out and it's just a black square.
Yeah, it's literally just a black square to me.
Should I try and I'll refresh, see if it makes a difference?
Oh, hang on. I think I know what's going on. Okay. Yeah, I'm an idiot.
Oh, I can see.
I gave your tokens vision, but I didn't assign them to the players. How about now?
Ah, now I can see.
Yeah, I can see.
All right. So there we are. And we are going to open up with, as you step forward, George, yes, this guy is going to take a shot at Saladin.
Valid.
Always got to shoot your shot.
Does a 14 hit you?
14 on the dot, yeah.
8 piercing damage.
Oof.
That's a hell of a roll
And
to
that's
start.
going to be a initiative. So let me just clear this previous one out. There we go. And then just make sure that you click on your token before you roll in Roll20.
Okay. Initiative. Absolute garbage.
This is the time I choose to roll well.
Our
Fuck all the
drunken,
stealth checks.
our drunken friend gets the good roll.
All right.
Oh,
So,
that was
Zethian, you
all.
are up first.
I really should have. Can I use a bonus action to give out some equipment, or would that require a bit more than a bonus action?
You could hand an item to another player as a bonus action. You wouldn't be able to pass out like multiple things to multiple people, no. I would say if it's what you're thinking of, though, against something like a crossbow, it wouldn't be very beneficial right now anyway.
Oh, it's only okay. I'll do it another time then. But I didn't know whether it was a actual gun or a crossbow.
No. These guys have crossbows.
I'm just actually going to try and hit something with a weapon, I guess. Well, I can only see one person, so
Put a bullet through him.
I'll try and put a bullet through him.
Okay, go for it. A 12 hits.
Okay.
Okay, 11 damage.
And then, because I get bonus shit, don't I?
Yep.
Because it's a laser rifle. So he's now slow. And has his speed decreased by 10 feet.
All right.
The good news is I actually prepared some
I don't
spells.
actually
for
have an
all this.
icon for slow. That's annoying. I'm going to use that one to reflect it. It's not quite right, but it'll do. All right. So, on his turn, another one's going to step out of the shadows. And he's going to take a shot now. And he's going to fire at the person who's just shot a laser rifle at them. And miss horribly. Next one you cannot see. Theodore, you're up.
Yeah. Just a second. So I'll use my bonus action
Mm-hmm.
to hex the guy who, let's say the guy who just, does it matter? Let's say the guy who just entered, the one with full health.
Okay.
So that's my pact.
Got it.
And
He's
I'm
hexed.
gonna use my laser pistol to shoot him.
Go for it.
So 22.
Definitely hits.
Rolling damage. 10.
Okay.
I think I'm rolling hex damage separately, right?
Correct,
I
yes.
checked that before. Second is 1d6. 5 more. 15.
Got it. Saladin, you're up.
Oh, these have got some health then. 15 and he's still standing.
Alright. In that case, obviously being shot, I feel like is suitable time to throw yourself into a rage.
I've just been shot.
Actually, you
that's
weren't
an
shot,
idea.
but you were shot at.
I was shot.
Yeah,
Oh no,
he took
that's right. You
he
were
took the
shot.
ball.
Yeah. You were shot. Yeah.
Yeah, I was. So yeah, and of course, immediately going to head towards the geezer and attempt to slam him in the face with the maul.
Go for it.
Attempt being the keyword.
Hoping
Successfully.
Which will go for 13 in total.
13. Got
And
it.
just for shits and giggles, we'll use the Hills Tumble to make him prone.
Does he get a save on that, or is that just automatic?
Not on Hill's tumble. If I used the
Right,
topple,
okay.
then he would have, but I figured I might as well.
Makes sense. Okay, so he goes down. He's still alive, but he's now on his back and not looking happy with things. Talek, you're up.
I'm up. Do I have an idea of how Coles is looking health-wise as he took that bolt to the chest or wherever he took it?
Coles, how bad are you looking? Are you over half still?
Yeah, I'm over half.
Okay, so he's still good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So the hexed target. I'm gonna fling a guiding bolt at him, I think.
Go for it.
19
Definitely hits.
damage. 16 damage.
And that's to the one that was hexed.
Yes.
All right. He is looking very bad, but still standing.
Okay.
All right.
Still
Anything else on
standing
your
as well.
anything else on your turn?
No, and I think I'm the last one to go in anger as well, aren't I? So nobody's going to get advantage against him.
It's the next person that goes. It doesn't matter if it's in this round.
Oh, okay. So whoever's shooting at the next one next will have advantage.
Nice.
Or punching.
So I'll put a mark on him there as well. Another one steps out from around the corner. This looks like the second one that you initially saw, Talek.
Okay.
And he's going to fire at... He's actually going to take a shot at you, Talek.
Okay.
And he misses horribly. Jeez.
Oh, he misses incredibly.
All right. This one moves out to here. And he's not going to shoot Saladin, because Saladin's engaged with his buddies. So he's going to take a shot at Zethian. 19.
Yeah, that hits.
9 piercing damage.
Ouch.
And then last but not least, the one that is on his back is going to use half of his movement to stand up. And he's going to really have no choice but to take a couple swings at Saladin. So, pulling his mace out, an 8 with the first swing, and an 11 with the second. Wow. And Zethian, that means we're back up and around to you.
But I will go for this hexed target.
You got advantage on that one.
Is that disadvantage to hit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you have advantage to hit him, yeah.
I illuminated him.
A 19 most definitely hits.
And then that one. 21 damage.
And he goes down.
That really doesn't give us a good gauge of his health, though, because we did a lot of damage.
He could be massively overkilled, or he might have only just died.
He could have had like 60 plus HP, or he could have.
All right. So up next, let me give this guy a quick roll. Oh, jeez. Okay. Seeing his friend go down, he's not happy with things. He is actually looking like he is running for it, holding something.
Hmm.
Theodore, you're up. One of them's just gone down. One of them is swinging with Saladin. Two of them are still aiming crossbows, and one of them looking like he's making a run for it.
That's a good distance as well.
So let me see if they're in range. Nature. 45.
What's your range?
40 or 120.
So he's well within 120.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's currently 80 from you. So if you moved 30, he'd still be 50 from you.
Yeah. There's no reason to shoot him, man. I'm not gonna one-shot you or anything. In the back.
We'd all literally
and that-
have to be within him.
Yeah, and the other guys are much more of a threat. But so it's 40. Honestly, let me Eldritch Blast into this guy at
Okay.
the back. Eldritch Blast is 120. Fits, so that should be fine.
Are you aiming at the guy in the very back or one of the other two?
Let's say one of the other two.
Okay.
I was going to say, if you're going right for the back, would you not go for the one that's trying to run away with something?
To be fair, it is fun. Let's see what happens. I'll shoot for the one at the very back.
Okay.
So Eldritch Blast. Oops, 7.
That's a miss. Anything else for your go?
Nope.
Saladin.
The one-dimensional character that I am will attempt to swing more once more at the man in front of me, because why the hell not?
Yeah.
For a 13,
Hits.
and that will deal a total of 12 damage.
And he goes down.
Nice.
Anything else on your turn? You still got bonus and movement?
Let's go in front of... Let's step up, because that's a reasonable thing to do. Still trying to make life slightly difficult for them to shoot at everyone else.
Okay.
Bonus action-wise, I don't actually have anything useful I can do, so that's me.
Okay.
Don't have bonus action yet.
Telek.
Right, Telek. So, bonus action. I'm gonna throw a quick healing word on Zephian because he's looking a little rough. So let's see how much he gets healed by. I'll give you your 9 health back that you lost.
Oh, thank you very much.
And then for my
Thank you very much.
action, what is going to be my best route here? I only have one spell slot left, so I don't really want to funk with that too much. How far are they from me? 65. What's my range of my pistol? 40. I don't really want to try for the 120. 65. So I'm gonna move myself forward 25 feet. can't really see the grid on here. 1, 2, 1, 2.
If you click on your token, you can actually just press the up key and it'll move you 5 feet at a time.
Oh. Five, 10, 15, 20, 25. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. You can also do diagonals
So I'm gonna-
and... Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. So I made up 40. Stuff it. I'll use one of my cantrips, why not? I'll use Sacred Flame at the one next to the one Coles is fired in.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember rightly, that is a dex save. Yeah, you got a dex save that you got to make.
18.
You saved it.
All right. Anything else on your go?
No.
Okay. These two that are next to Saladin are up next then. And they're each going to drop crossbows, grab maces, and take a couple swings each. So the first one, an 11 and a 15.
15 hits, yeah.
For 7 damage.
I can't remember when the rage bonus halves it. Does it round up or down?
Down. So you take 3.
Nice.
And the second one, a 17 for 4, half to 2, and a 19 for another 7 down to 3.
How's my boy looking?
I've certainly been better.
All right.
Bit sore.
You're my boy, Blue.
Zethian, you're up.
So I'm going to move and try and get a bit of a better line of sight over here. Maybe not that far. I would like to. Let me just check something. I would like to hunter's mark the guy at the back.
Okay.
Just in case we want to try and find him later. And I can do that without expending a spell slot. And then I can take a shot at the guy. He's not. Is he hexed or anything, or is he just?
He is
No.
not.
Marked, isn't he?
Hex is only for my attack.
Hex is on one of the dead ones.
Yeah.
11 just hits.
Okay. Good to know.
Does Hunter's Mark give you any extra damage?
Don't believe. Hang on, let me check. Don't think it does. I think it's just a mark. Oh no, it does. It's an
No,
extra
deal
1d6 damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
24 in total and a 10-foot slow.
And he's slowed.
That 10-foot slow could come in handy.
All right.
How much damage did you do to him so far? 24.
24.
Okay.
He's looking really bad off.
Okay.
It's
24
his
is looking
go
good.
next. He's moving to there. It just takes 10 feet off his movement, you said, right? Not half?
Yeah, it's just a flat 10 foot.
Okay. So that's all he can go to. Theodore.
Right. I just read. I thought it might be the case. I've just checked. I can change hex once the enemy that was hexed
As a bonus action,
drop
yes.
to 0.
Mhm.
That's right. So I'll take that as a bonus action, and I think I'm gonna hex the person Sam just shot at.
Okay.
It's always nice to bring a warlock to a fight.
Yep.
That
Okay.
man is accumulating the debuff.
Yes, he is.
I'm hopefully putting another one on him soon too.
Right.
I
So
mean,
what?
mine will fall off at the next turn unless I hit him again.
Yeah. I mean,
What-
hopefully he's dead by the next turn.
What are you doing for your action then, Theodore?
Yeah, I'll Eldritch Blast him. I have one more luck to spare, but
You do
I
not.
should have used my luck. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Like challenge.
Can you is luck before or after a roll?
I think I'm supposed to do it before. Let's check.
I think so.
I don't remember.
Spend on. Yeah, it's to give you advantage, so it is before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, since we're still getting used to it, I'll say go ahead and take it this time, and then we'll remember for next time.
14.
That does hit.
Let's get that big Eldritch Blast damage into him.
Oh, that's good. That's so. It's not. Right, let's try the
1.
7 in total.
And then
Wait, wouldn't he have not needed the luck because it was a hex target?
Hex gives you extra
just gives
damage.
advantage,
It doesn't
just
affect you to
does
hit.
extra damage, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just an extra 1d6 damage.
But with that additional 6 damage, he looks like he is barely standing.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Saladin.
Ooh,
How are you looking, by the way, Saladin?
I've seen better days.
Right.
Either way, I'm gonna take a swing at the geezer directly in front of me,
So I like to.
and it's gonna miss.
It does.
And that's me.
Talek.
Right. Jesus.
Are you going to go for the one that's running before he gets away, or are you going to step in and help Saladin?
That's the tough choice that I'm trying to decide between right now.
Yeah, otherwise you're leaving it up to me to hit him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the worry. Right, how far is Saladin from me? It's
I have a
35,
bit
so-
better than 50-50 to hit him.
So I can get within touching distance.
So
of
you've got like a
Saladin.
5% chance to hit him with that 50-50, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. Right, so I'm going to move my full movement allowance, which is going to put me behind. That's the wrong. Put me behind Saladin. I'm going to bonus action healing word on him. And that will give you 7 health back.
Nice.
And then I'm going to shoot at our stumbling fellow at the back. And then hope for the best on this one. I believe he's 40 dead on. Excellent. Right, let's take a shot at him. 18.
Hits.
And then we will do 10 damage.
He goes down.
Didn't even need the 1d6.
That last hit that had been done on him left him with 1 hit point left.
God damn it.
So all I had to do,
If
Two
Vlad
damage.
had rolled anything but a 1, he was dead.
so literally all I had to do was not miss the shot.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, I get to transfer my mark. I get to transfer my mark for free.
Yeah. I
Okay,
don't know
on
if
to
Vlad-
left or right.
Just go left because it's closest to me.
And Vlad doesn't get to move his hex again, does he? I think it's only once. You
No,
get
no,
to
I
move.
do.
Oh, you do?
As
It
a
just-
bonus
it takes him a
action,
bonus
once,
action to do it.
the target is
Oh,
equals to
excellent.
0.
Oh, that's a thing. Does mine actually take an action or is it just automatic?
Am
I thought it was a
gonna do
bonus action,
Yeah,
but I
okay,
could be
mine's a
wrong.
bonus action within range.
Yeah, so it doesn't move yet.
And then that will be my turn over.
All right. These two are up against Saladin again. Can you guess what they're going to do?
Bonk. Physical violence.
23. 6 damage halved. An 11 misses. A 10 misses. 17 hits. For another 3 once it's halved.
Basically just took the health I healed you for off you.
And Zethian's up.
Yeah, so the mark moves. I'm going to move up slightly just to get a better line of sight. And then I'll do the pew pew. Pew pew.
That's a miss. That's why you didn't want to say that other guy for Zethian. And then we're up to Theodore. Or sorry, Sam. Oh no, you used your bonus action,
so,
didn't you? Yeah. Yeah.
That's fine. So I'll move. How do I move? I'm unable to move. I want to move forward and shoot at one of the two guys.
All right, go for it.
Is that
You can click and drag or click an arrow key.
1, 2, 4? I think. Yes, let's see. Is that? That's one more. Yeah, basically I'm here. That's 40 feet. I'll probably do the guy on the. Oh, is that 45? No, I think it's one more. Yeah, the guy on the left. I'm transferring the hex onto him and
Mhm.
shooting at him with my pistol.
Go for it.
13.
Hits.
14 damage, and let's do a hex. 19 damage.
19. Got it. Saladin.
We know what he's doing.
Yeah. I'm going to go for the guy that's already been hit this time. And hope for the best. 19 should hit.
Definitely hits.
Oh, yeah.
4. Oh, lovely. Lots and lots of damage. 17.
He's down.
Ah, I was going to topple him. Damn.
Well, you did topple him. He's gone. He's on the ground.
So
He's
there's
so
only,
toppled he died.
there's
He
only
has a
one
hole in
gee-
him now. It's great.
So there's
Yeah.
only one geezer left now then.
That's right.
Okay, well that makes it a little easier for my plan. So I'm
The
gonna
whole Leroy Jenkins' ass.
mosey on in. And then for my bonus action, I'm going to give that guy a good wallop with ye old mace. 16, 20.
Definitely hits.
and he will have 7 damage.
Okay.
And then my action, I'm gonna use my last spell slot and hit Saladin for a cure wounds because I'm in touching distance of him. And it'll give him 11 health back.
Got it.
And then that will be my turn.
Okay. This guy's going to get a couple more hits on you now, Saladin. Or he's not going to. He's going to swing wildly.
He's disturbed that the cleric's just moved into melee. He's thinking, what the
Yes.
fuck's happening here?
I get to move the mark again. And
Yep.
near the pew pew. I just realised I have a weapon mastery, don't I? But oh, that's just where that comes from. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you only get the slow on the weapon because you have the mastery.
Yeah,
I like that change. I like that they've added in the 2024 rules. That's a hit.
Fucking hell.
Oof.
Super.
He is
super.
unhappy with life right now.
and then I get that as well.
Oh, never mind. He's not unhappy with life.
He's dead as fuck.
Because he has none left.
He fleetingly thought that he was very unhappy with his life, and then his mind changed.
Yeah, as he then gets thrown back from the force damage, he was just like, no, I regret that thought.
Yes.
I should have been very happy with what I had left.
Must have hit the back of his head on some of that rubble behind him.
Yes.
It's like landed on a crumpled wooden crate.
All right, and that is going to bring combat to a close.
Hell yeah.
Now, to quote a wise man, can we loot the corpses?
I'm making a beeline to this dude.
Okay.
What was he hiding?
Yeah, we'll just shout to you. Find what that guy was hiding.
So you immediately make a beeline for him, and you see that he's holding something that looks like it's been balled up in his hands that's kind of fallen under him. You roll him over, and you see that he is clutching a leather pouch and a balled up, what initially looks like a black cloak. As you start unballing it from the clump that it was in, you can actually see that this is a very finely made cloak. Initially, how do I describe this properly for you? The cloak looks like what you would normally see as like the idea of a wolf skin pelt, where it actually has the wolf head on one shoulder, and then it stretches back into the pelt behind. The difference is that rather than being a furred wolf, this is a scaled creature.
Is it also green by any chance?
No, it's black. And from looking at the shape of the pelt, it looked like it was a... actually, roll me a nature check. Roll me a nature roll. Five.
5 for a +1. Goddamn.
So you do not recognize this creature, but effectively what you're looking at seems to be some sort of a scaled version of a direwolf.
Fascinating.
So
Would
if
I
you
have
want to,
recognised
for
it
the
from
moment,
time on
add
the
to your
farm?
inventory black scaled wolf cloak.
Fancy.
And in addition to that, a
Customised,
pouch of, well, I'm assuming you're looking in the pouch.
Yep.
A pouch containing 5 platinum, 10 gold,
Damn.
and 11 copper.
Mr. Moneyback.
5, 10,
Nice.
and 11 copper.
Mm-hmm. And then from the general looting up of the rest of these guys, you are able to gather 5 sets of leather armor, 5 heavy crossbows, 5 maces, and a total of 33 gold, 44 silver, and 219 copper.
Jesus.
Nice.
Were you saying this was a wolf cloak?
A black
Like pelt.
scaled wolf cloak.
So whilst they're looting the corpses, I'm gonna head to where the one that made a run for it ran from,
Okay.
just to have a look in that area and see if
You head back
there's
here.
anything around there.
You head back there and you find a dead body laying on the ground.
Yeah, I know it's dark for me again now, but
Is it?
excellent. And
Oh,
anything
hold
around
on.
it,
I
does it
know
like
why it's
resemble
dark.
any of the dead bodies?
Let me stick a light back there for you once you're back there. How's that?
That's
Oh,
perfect.
wow, there's an entire place there, damn.
So, yes, you see a dead body laying on the ground. It looks like, from initial glances, the cloak was pulled off of this body, and they were in the process of trying to strip off some black leather armor from the body when you arrived. Now, the person laying on the ground is female, elven. The armor is very finely crafted black leather armor. The person is also then wearing a black tunic underneath the armor. It comes down to black sleeves. And give me an investigation check, and we'll see what else you pick up.
Excellent. 17?
17. In addition to the very finely crafted armor and what appear to be fairly expensive, well-made clothing, you notice that this person is carrying, or actually is wearing around their neck, a very simply carved wooden disc. And you roll me a history roll as well, since you're the one looking at it.
Not so good.
It looks hand carved. It's, like I said, a wooden disc with hand carving on it, on a very simple, like almost twine necklace. It seems very out of place considering everything else this person has is very expensive and finely crafted. But you do not recognize the symbol on it.
Perfect. With the time of the night it is, would there have been any patrols from either the city guard or the clerics of the hall wandering around that we could bring the attention to? Because obviously this is a crime scene with dead bodies in it that we don't really want to remove, and we also want like the dead people that we had to deal with to stay in position.
In theory, within a 4 or 5 block radius, you could find someone. Yes.
Okay. So I feel we need to get some guards here, so either we can report to Severina or they can get the clerics of the law to come down. They're probably not going to be too happy because of the time of the night it is, and we left the people that could have spoke about it unable to speak. But
I mean, they started it.
it's true. I mean, I could bring one back with Spare the Dying, I guess, but
Nah.
So the question is, as a group, are we taking the money and reporting the crime, or are we just taking everything we can and running away?
I mean, it'd be interesting to spare the dying on the dude who had the pelt.
it would be. But they also have the clerics of the law that could use Spare the Dying, and I don't need to do that, and they're far better versed in interrogation of dead people, I'm assuming.
Spare the Dying
Isn't there a
is
time limit
time
on it?
dependent.
True.
Spare the
Like,
Dying.
you could, in theory, tie him up and then spare him.
We could restrain him, yeah. And we also
Spare the
we also
Dying.
have-
You're almost out of time to cast it, just in the time it's taking you to go see the body.
Right. So I tell Coles to go and put his big old size 15 boot on that chap, and then I'm going to put Spare the Dying on him. It only brings him to stable, so it's not going to give him too much.
The one that was running away with the stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Because obviously we've got Zephian that can have his gun pointed at him. We've got big man Coles with his maul that's ready to unspare him. So I'll bring him back to stability, and we'll cause enough noise that some guards would have heard it come around.
Okay.
It's probably the best play. I'm going to leave the dead body exactly where it is and not going to touch it any further than I had to discover that it was like some fine filigreed leather armor on it. And I'm going to come back round the dumpster fire as well because there's nobody else here.
Now, one thing that I am going to tell you, just for awareness, and I'll let you make a decision based on that. If you bring clerics around, or guards, either one, they are likely to want all of the evidence, including the items that you've already looted off of these people. I'm giving you that to make a decision on whether or not you're doing something with those items before they arrive, or if you are turning them over.
Can we just kind of gag the dude and drag him off and then leave the rest of them? Because then we probably want to be able to, do our own investigations with the items, or maybe produce them to what's-her-face, rather than having them in the lovely red tape of proverbial chain of evidence.
Yeah.
So,
although they do like law and order, but then we can also drag this dude into the place where, lying is very frowned upon and interrogate the shit out of him.
Because if we drag him to the hall, then the clerics are going to be involved immediately because we're dragging someone that's on death's door
into a government building that's also a
random
temple.
crime not connected to what we were looking into.
Or can we try and summon what's-her-face 2 up if we stash the dude? I don't know, like at the pub,
You did get the impression that Lady Seraphina is not the kind of person who would like to be summoned.
Yeah, she. If we summon her, we need to have solved the crime.
Or found something groundbreaking.
But I feel like this is more city guard, and then they can face the clerics with it because there was no ritual murder here. It was just a rich elf that, for what we could tell, was literally just a crime of
getting mugged.
Convenience, effectively.
From the looks of it, yeah.
Yeah. So we
Or
could
do we just like take the shit and
we could just leave the weapons
With
and
Steve.
leather armor. So we could just leave the crossbows and maces and leather armor, but still take the gold.
I mean, taking all the weapons and stuff out of it would seem mighty suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, but taking the gold isn't, and it's quite a bit, I think.
It was a reasonable amount, yeah.
We might also bribe the guards into saying, "Hey, that cloak wasn't on her."
Well,
Potentially.
I've shoved it in my backpack. They don't know about it at the moment.
Yeah. They don't know about the cloak. They're only going to see what they see
I think that's fine.
in the crime scene.
It's a very interesting cloak as well, by the way, by what these things can do.
Yeah.
So do you want to stash the cloak and then
Oh, I've
leave
stashed
the?
the cloak.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
in my
And
bag.
We've got to leave the weapons down, otherwise.
So
we
the
come in
question
with
then is
people
more
back
along
out.
the weapons, armor, and money.
Yeah. Because the guys we killed, they could have no money anyway, but this noble woman would have had money on her. That's the problem.
Oh, I see.
Well, they don't know that these 5 people here were like the only ones that were here. One of them might have managed to get away with the money. You never know.
It's true. We can just say we
Um,
stumbled into the alleyway. 'cause
One
we
other
heard a
thing,
commotion.
one other thing that I am going to go ahead and give you with your investigation, Talek. One thing that is conspicuous already in its absence is the murdered woman does not look like the kind of individual, based on the armor and everything else that she's wearing, that she would be walking around unarmed. And there is no sign of her weapon.
And probably not alone, I would assume, given the status that she'd be with what she's wearing. Would she have been wandering the streets alone, given that there's murders happening?
I mean, she gives the impression of being fairly capable, just from
Just not 5 dudes
physicality
capable
and
in an
equipment.
alleyway. Yeah.
To be honest, and this is something that, like I said, you rolled fairly well on your investigation, so I'm going to go ahead and give you this on the same one. To be honest, she does give the impression of being 5 dudes capable.
Right. So can I look a little more around to see if I can find a weapon that would look like it would befit her status?
Yeah, give me another investigation roll, this time with advantage, because you know what you're looking for.
Okay. Not that that really ever helps me, but
No sign.
no sign.
Mm-mm.
You rolled a 1 and a 7.
Yeah. Well, I guess before we get the guards involved, we can question
We
our
still don't have to
barely.
get the guards involved. We can just leave.
We can. I just feel like this guy is barely stable because all I did was brought him back to stability. I didn't heal him at all. He's just literally
Yeah, he's still
on
unconscious, just not dying.
Yeah, he's on death's door.
I mean,
I also
we
don't
could
want to bring him
finish
to the.
off again
Well,
after pushing him.
stable's not death's door necessarily. It just means he's
Yeah,
very
he's just unconscious.
unwell.
Yeah, I don't want to bring him to the keg. I don't think Davroff would appreciate us bringing.
No,
Bring
you
him
you
into
know
the
him well
keg.
enough. No, he would not appreciate you bringing in a
So I
tied
think
up,
we're gonna.
unconscious
I
thug
mean-
into his tavern.
I have a place that's not the keg.
That's true.
I'm also going to just ask did you take the necklace off of her, or have you shown it to anyone else in the room?
As I held it, I sort of like gave it a good yank to.
Okay, yeah,
to remove
the string does snap when you do that.
Yeah.
And then do you just pocket it?
Yeah, it's gone into one of the pockets on my robe, and
Okay.
I'll have a look at it again later on, or show it to the homies.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
From what we already know about the city, what are their investigative powers like? Is there a chance that, they kind of have the technology for things like forensics and we've just put our hands all over a crime scene?
Well, there are 3 basic investigative bodies within the city. There is the city guard, who are muscle, basically. And then there are the clerics of the law, who are more investigative, crime scene forensics, they would possibly be able to have magical means of determining something if the manpower was determined to be spared, if it was worth sparing it. They're usually only involved in more important matters.
Yeah, I feel like this wouldn't go beyond the guard because it's just a rich elf that's been mugged and killed in the alleyway.
The third group, which are a bit more of a wild card, are the Paladins of the Iron Soul. And they are technically not law enforcement, but they are an order of paladins that are endorsed by the Lord Governor and allied to the city, and they enforce law and justice at their own discretion. They have very high levels of resource, but they also only get involved in matters that align with their own interests, basically. They're not a normal legal group.
I feel like with this, if the city guard tried to dump this on Severina's desk while she was dealing with cult murders, she's going to tear them a new one and they're going to regret trying to put it on the cleric's desk. So I think the guards would keep this to themselves. Doesn't seem like something they'd want to bother Severina with, and definitely not try to bother the paladins with.
Yeah, there is a lot of crime in a city this size, and in most cases the clerics do not get involved.
No, like 5 guys mugging an elf rich lady in an alleyway, they're probably going to say, why the fuck are you bringing this to us? Like, deal with it yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess if none of us recognize her as a particularly high profile individual.
Why don't all of you roll me what would it just roll me an intelligence roll. Intelligence or wisdom, whichever one you have is better.
Oh, thank God you said that.
19.
17.
With a wise 2.
Advance.
You could have rolled
Have another one.
You could have rolled an intelligence, so I don't know if your ink is much better, Theodore,
now,
because you're a charisma caster. So.
It's worse.
Now, each of the 4 of you had a different DC based on your own areas of experience here. But none of you recognize her.
I don't even care if I failed. I'm just happy that roll actually was not horrendous. Set the bar low.
Well, I don't even think we take this guy anywhere else. I think we wake him up from his unconsciousness, talk to him here, and then.
Can I do a bit of a, Winnie the Pooh perch on a log, go like think, and see if it comes back to me any further?
You can only do that if you take your trousers off, because Winnie the Pooh does not wear trousers.
True.
I'm so sorry.
No, I think that's very fair.
I am going to give you a bit of a bit of a rope here, and I am going to say that if examining the body did not produce any information, Talek, the necklace does seem to you out of place. It might be something that someone else might recognize.
Okay. So my wisdom check wasn't too bad then, at least.
Yeah, you at least pick up on the fact that although you don't know the symbol, someone might.
Right.
So do you show it to us to ask if anyone knows what it is?
Yeah, I think I'm going to, after we chat to our fellow, because I feel like we should keep him in this alleyway, have our discussion, and then give him his sleep back.
Give him his sleep back. Do you mean just fucking murder him once?
Yeah, I mean you get to just swing your maul at him and render him back.
I mean, I'll happily
do a group
just
kick,
sort of
but
hold
we
him
all
down.
kick him at the exact same time.
Because I don't want to get tied with too much necromancy. You see.
You're like, yes, I kind of resurrected a man from the dead, but then I put him back again.
Exactly.
Okay. So you
I only make
wake the,
temporary zombies.
you guys tie the guy up. You wake him up. He immediately looks around a bit panicked and trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and then just kind of stares up at you.
Yeah. So
So, what
They
were
just
you
give him the
thinking?
old. You have 30 seconds. Who, what, when, where, and why.
Who,
So
who,
he's
who what, when, where,
he's
and why,
going to be a
what?
little discombobulated.
Well,
Well, who was
who
that
the hell
around
are
the
you?
corner just there? I mean,
This is not a game of who the fuck am I. This is a game of who the fuck are you.
Roll me intimidation with advantage.
yeah, he's got his dead homies sat around him.
Okay, and then roll me an insight with advantage as well, Zethian. Okay.
Classic.
You can tell he definitely looks afraid of you. He he tells you his name. It's Eddie. He doesn't really know what you're wanting him to say. He basically tells you, effectively, saw a rich elf, went to mugger, you guys jumped us.
So I come round the corner from then, and I just say to him, I'm sure you can say more than that before my good friend, gesturing over to Coles
What are
with
you
his
expecting
giant
me to
hammer
say?
sitting there, can allow you to join your friends that are here too.
What are you expecting me to say?
Do you know who
She had some
was?
fancy stuff. We wanted money. Thought we had it too until you guys showed up.
Would I be able to
You
tell if
already
he's
have
being
some fancy
sincere
stuff.
here?
Roll me insight.
You already have some fairly fancy stuff to need to steal more fancy stuff.
Inside
Well, they didn't have any fancy stuff.
15?
With a 15 insight, he's not lying completely, but you can tell that there's more to it than that.
Okay, so I just say to
By a
him,
mission.
well, I can't be held responsible for my man here, as you guys did shoot him. We didn't jump you; you shot us. So if you really don't want to join your friends here, why don't you elaborate on regale us with your tale of this rich lady?
All right. Look, okay, fine. So Snitchy told us he'd seen this woman. She had all kinds of rich-looking stuff on her, and she was wandering around the city on her own. He said we could, jump her and take her stuff, and her. I mean, he said between her sword, her armor, and her cloak, we'd make bank out of this.
Where's this sword?
I don't know. Snitchy had it.
Who's this? Do we recognize the name Snitchy, like from either the Underground Fight Club or
Nope.
anything else? So I sort of just walk towards him and crouch down next to him and go, "Who's this Snitchy chap then?"
He's one of the guys. I guess. I guess you could kind of call him our. Well, he's not really a leader, but I mean he's the one that comes up with most of our stuff.
Where would we find him?
He was here.
Casey, as that is happening, can I look around to investigate whether someone is hiding anywhere,
Yeah.
in the
Roll me
alleyway
an
as well?
investigation roll.
14.
There's no sign of any weapon on any of them. No.
So I just say to him, "Is Snitchy one of these?" It's around here that's on the ground?
Just jamming his faces into the corpses, like, get a good look.
You drag him around. And as you do, he's kind of obviously a bit freaked out, but as he kind of goes to each one and you show him his dead friends, none of them are snitchy.
Interesting.
I mean, he has two options. He can tell us where Snitchy is, or he can join his friends.
Look,
I just add extra pressure, and I just kind of want to step on his balls just to make him feel extra pain.
He winces and screams out. He says, "Look, I can't tell you where he is. There were 7 of us here, and he's not here now."
7.
7. We
So
killed
who else has
5.
disappeared?
Yeah, who else was here? Well,
I mean, Davy's not here. I don't know where they went. All right.
where do you guys usually go?
Okay. Bear with me one moment.
That's okay. Well, whilst that's happening, I'm just like, Coles, persuade him a little more. Give him another little step.
I mean, I'll happily continue stepping on the man's testicles and causing him additional pain in any way.
Does he have enough HP to withstand this?
I'm assuming
He,
as
like,
long as I
burst
don't
a
burst
testicle
his
and he's just
testicles,
dead
yeah.
again.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I also have a healer's kit in my pack, which can hopefully stabilize him if we do accidentally,
Or he just put a tourniquet on his testicle.
He
I mean, if you want to get that hands on.
he eventually does relent as you're tormenting his nutsack. And he tells you that they hang out a lot of times at the Salted Kraken.
Oh. And we know where that is, I'm assuming.
Yeah, at least 1 or 2 of you would know about the Salted Kraken. It's a fairly unusual and notorious tavern in town. It's down by the docks, and it's famous for 2 things. The first one is that in addition to being a tavern, it's also a fishmonger's. Not the most common of combinations. And the second is that the proprietor of the Salted Kraken is a Triton.
Oh.
What's that?
Effectively kind of like a merman. But with,
Triton.
but with legs rather than a tail. They're people that can live on land and water. They're a species that.
Well, we're definitely not in the condition
Yeah.
to sort of go down there and kick the door open and demand to talk to these fellas. So I'm going to take the information he's given us, because we know it's Davy and Snitchy are the 2 that aren't here, and we're only missing a sword. I don't think we're going to get any more information out of him. So I said I just
a
look at him and
description
say,
of Snitchy and Davy would probably be helpful.
Yeah,
Rather than just
he
the name.
does give you descriptions of them, and much like the guys that are here, they sound like fairly generic-looking thug and or sailor types. But he
forgettable
does
enough that they can commit a few crimes and get away with it easily.
Yes, yeah.
Like your generic 6 foot tall dark hair man that was.
Well, in Snitchy's case, he's bald.
Yeah.
But that's common enough among the type that it's not really a noticeable feature.
I just asked him then if he's got anything else he wants to say before we untie him, just to give him a little taste of freedom. That he thinks he's about to get free.
Just please let me live. I mean, look, yeah, we messed up. We jumped someone, but times are hard, and I mean, look, I've been out of work for a year, and I didn't have anything else to turn to, and these guys said it'd be easy money. All right, I got laid off from my job on the docks, and look, I got it over my head. All right, I just come on, man.
No wrong there. So I sort of look at the other guys as well, just so we can get like a general consensus. Is he gonna be let go so you can go back to Davey and Snitchy, or do I just go Coles and then sort of like just let him do his thing?
Because we could also, at this point, we could also give him to the police, make him confess or something.
We could, but we also have the money.
Yeah.
We could also psychologically damage him beyond repair. We could knock him out, tie him
the heroic
up,
path.
his friends into a dumpster somewhere, and then push it into the dock. And then he'll just wake up either sinking or floating, surrounded by the corpses of his friends. And
just for reference, remember, George, you're about an hour's travel from the dock if you're looking to get these bodies there.
What is nearby that I can also use to
I feel like leaving
an hour's travel through the city with 5 bodies and a prisoner, if you really wanted to do that one.
I feel like leaving the bodies here.
The butchers, though, that's relatively nearby. Because that's close to the midnight market. And we would have had to have gone probably past it or adjacent, depends how close we are, to get round to the tavern.
It's also walking through the city with dead bodies on our shoulders whilst we could bump into guard patrols. It'll be like,
I'm sure we could find a bin somewhere to cram the corpses into. And
I mean, you're in an alley filled with bins right now.
Exactly.
I mean, there's also torches
around. Murdering him, but also psychological damage is always fun.
Are we now just going to throw them all in the bin?
I mean, even if we just leave them be, what's the worst that can happen?
It's only going to go to
at some point.
They'll be found in the morning, yeah.
Yeah, they will be found either way, I guess. Bodies smell and stuff like that.
I feel like we just knock him unconscious. Can break his leg or something so he can't go anywhere and knock him unconscious.
We could tear his tongue out and break all of his fingers or cut his hands off, because then he can't talk all right.
Jesus Christ, you might as well kill the dude at that point. He's walking vegetable.
I'm not against
walking
the idea.
Vegetable.
Zephian says kill the guy, so...
You're reading between the lines there very much.
No, I feel like leaving him unconscious, he's going to get taken by the guards. And what's he going to say to the guards? Oh, there was a giant man, a dragon, and a robot that came around and attacked us mugging this girl. Unfortunately, he's seen us as much as we've seen him.
I'm going to cave his skull in.
That works for me.
Sure.
Take the rope off, we're being killed by
the other 3 of us are standing around debating, and then we just hit crunch.
I took a
that sounds familiar, Sam.
Campaign, Sam.
Yeah.
What? Where I got bored of you all debating and the dude squealing, so I just sliced the dude's head off in anger.
Yeah, exactly the same.
And then as we're gonna leave the alleyway, I grab one of these
solutions.
Do we grab the expensive armor that was on the lady?
No, I'm gonna leave that on her. So it just looks like they failed their mugging. I've got the necklace and we've got the cloak. Because there's no
just take the money off her as well. Her pouch.
Zephian got that pouch. I'm assuming the money that she had was the platinum. I'm assuming one of
Yes,
these muggers
that's
wasn't
correct.
running around with a few sticks of platinum.
Did you say that you
Muggers
showed
having platinum,
the?
they wouldn't be a mugger.
No, exactly.
Did you say that you did show the necklace to the group?
Yeah, I shown the necklace after we've just panned his head in. It was going to get shown after we dealt with him one way or another.
Okay. Well, one of you just got a message when it's shown around that one of you does recognize it. Whether you want to speak up or not is up to you.
Fascinating.
Oh, you know more about this?
May I borrow this for an evening for some research purposes?
Yeah, I trust him enough, so I sort of like just toss it over to him so he can catch it. Hopefully he's got enough decks. I know he can't stealth, but maybe he's got enough.
I mean, I do have pretty good decks.
All right.
Do you need me to do the athletics check for that?
Just to
Oh,
watch him
please.
fumble it in the air.
Please.
Just for fun?
Just for the comedy of it now, yes.
Are
Should
we
put on that
leaving their
one.
weapons with?
No, it's just flown over my shoulder.
Yeah,
I
so it's
tried
like
to grab it, it's bounced off, it's
now
rattled
covered in
on
a
the
man's
floor a bit.
skull.
and then you have to
Yeah.
do the walk of shame to go fetch it behind you off the ground.
Yeah. So as we're leaving the alleyway, because I don't want to bring the guards' attention whilst we're here, but as we're leaving, I take one of like the torches that's illuminating it and just light a little pile of something that'll be enough fire that it'll cause attention but not burn down the buildings that are around it
Okay.
as we leave, like fast enough so
Question,
they'll
though.
see it.
Did we take their weapons or not?
Negative.
No, we left the weapons, so it looks like a mugging gone wrong, but we did take
Can
the
I
gold.
like just leave, or coat one of their maces in the brains of the man that we just completely fucking murdered in cold blood, just so it looks potential betrayal.
Just make sure it's one of the shot ones. So it looks like he killed him and ran away and got shot.
Okay. And I think on that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the session for the night.
Successful murder.
Um,
Yeah, because we'd have got back to the keg. I would have gave Davroff his spices.
Just before we
Yeah,
depart completely, though, I am going to say, yes, you do successfully get back to the keg. You do deliver Davros spices, and you head to sleep for the evening. As you do, though, as we approach Hellwinter, last thing before we close for the night, as you sleep, Theodore, you have another dream.
Oh.
So I don't know if you'd like to watch that real quick before we depart.
I'm going to hit that long rest and get my spell slots back.
Yeah, I'm bringing back my HP. You absolutely came in clutch with that.
That's what we do, homie.
At one point, I was literally.
I just
on
want to
one
see
hit point,
Vlad's
so when you're like,
expressions here.
I actually think you and Zephian were both on one hit point, like metagaming wise. Like out of character, I do believe both of you are at one hit point at some point in that.
I wasn't quite, but
You're like, I wasn't at 1, I was at 2, but
it was actually 3. It's an effective, if I get hit by something, I'm crumpled less on the floor.
It was the fact that you were like, "How good are you feeling?" And I'm like, "I've seen better days." 1 hit point.
could be worse.
All right, and Vlad, on that reaction, we can pick up in the start of next session at breakfast, and you can discuss your evening with the group.
He's just had a dream about that big titty goth girl.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
All right, guys. On that note, we'll say good night, and I'll see you guys on Monday.
I'll say goodnight. Congratulations on level 2, everybody, and see you Monday.
Actually, yes, you can level up to 2.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Yay!
yeah.
Metagaming.
I was gonna give it
It's
to you through the week, but no, actually, I'll go ahead and say it now. Go ahead and level up.
Awesome. How do
All
I
right.
level up on D&D
I can
Beyond?
now
That's
let
the
myself
main thing.
die by giving everyone advantage against me.
Manage character.
All right.
Just...
Until
actually,
Monday,
this is
guys.
pretty simple without pen and paper.
Oh yeah, yeah. D&D Beyond makes it easy to
Until
level
Monday.
up. Yeah, until Monday. Bye bye.
Sweet. Catch you later, guys.
Goodbye.
Yes, yes.
Ready?